Oh, we're trying to get. All right, we got one in here, and see who talks first. There's 4 of y'all here. Make sure we all come in. We hit the like button. We share it out. All those things are free. They don't cost us any money. And right now we're set up with the live stream. We're getting things set up right now. So in the meantime, we all can just sit back and just relax, have a conversation. Right now I'm waiting for YouTube to load the crap up. Take it over here. There's 6 of y'all here, only 2 likes. That means we need to start hitting the like button. You ready? Hit the like button. Like, share it out. If you're new to the channel, hello there. How you doing? Welcome to the USA chat. So here, only 2 likes. Man, what is going on here? Well, we can just waiting for YouTube to load up here.
Why the fuck is nobody talking about how they removed the Simpsons episode? Watch this clip very carefully.
Watch this.
What Donald Trump is doing right now.
Get everything all set up there, everybody. Takes time. It takes time, but you two, come on, knock it off.
Now, getting the homeless out the street and putting all these law enforcement people in throughout DC, that shit needs to be done. Good.
Has done it again. Have you seen the latest videos of DC?
People in DC have been recording videos showing us how much DC has changed in just the last 7 days. It went from being an actual insane asylum. Look at some of these photos of how bad the homelessness was in DC. Top that off with carjackings and homicides and crime. And now it looks like Poland. We have lovely ladies on a night out in their dresses. The streets actually look sparkling clean. And yet, Democrats are angry about this. We have white paid protesters protesting on behalf of many black locals who are very happy about these changes, because why wouldn't you? Nick Sorter made a video that sums up perfectly what DC is like now.
Yeah.
Right, it is. Strangely empty. I've never seen it.
Oh, come on, what is going on?
I love this video. This is my favorite video on the internet right now because of just how wholesome and natural it is. And that is just a random stranger going up to another fellow American and basically just saying, "Hey, neighbor, looks good out here, right? How's your day going?"
Yeah. Oh, YouTube
Isn't that beautiful? I feel like that trust that people have in other random people, that, hey, I don't have to worry about if you're going to rob me. I don't know who you are or what your intentions are, but just a random stranger walking down the street and basically just being like, "Hey, looks pretty good, right?" I love this. This is such a positive change. Bring it to Denver. We are ready. A lot of people have been pointing out the fact that Washington, D.C. is made up 40.9% of black people, and yet all of the protesters are white, so they're not locals, and we're going to hear from some locals in a second, but this is what these paid protesters have to say. I mean, they look so pathetic in their uniforms with their signs. I mean, they look so organized. It looks like some type of really cheap play that nobody wants to see, so they just put it in the street to try to force you to watch it. Nobody's buying a ticket to this. I don't know who's funding this, but it is really backfiring because it's making your group look incredibly incompetent. You guys just look like a bunch of clowns. I mean, with all of their matching signs and their little chants and their cheerleading stuff, it's so pathetic. It's crazy for them to say free DC when they don't even know what DC means. You don't just get to travel there for one day, get compensated per hour, and then be like, free DC! Because if actual locals are saying that DC was full of crime, and you're saying to free DC and allow the crime, then I don't know how you expect anybody to be on your side.
I enjoy having extra security. I think it's a good thing. I mean, you want to feel safe when you're out and about, especially females.
It's a good thing because it actually reinforces the fact that America is secure, safe, stable.
Elliot Reed says he supports the federal involvement.
As a moderate, as a centrist, I think something needs to be done. I have 3 kids. I'm about to start teaching next week. I want it to be safe.
I enjoy having...
So basically the protesters are saying, no, we should free the criminals, free the homeless, just let them run around and do whatever they want. That's not what it means to be free. And I've said this multiple times on the channel, that freedom is not about lawlessness. Freedom is about having boundaries and having rules so that you can have freedom of creativity, freedom to go outside, freedom to be safe. Freedom is following the law.
That's right. Trump has the Make DC Beautiful Again executive order, which removes about 70 to 75 homeless encampments off the street. Now, he's not just removing the homeless people off the street, he's getting them substance abuse care. You can go to rehab, motherfucker. We're not just going to put you in a home, though. We're going to get you the help that you need, right? That's a fair deal. Now, if you don't oblige, possible jail time. We're not just going to put you up in housing so you can still be snorting coke and doing fentanyl, motherfucker. And what do you know? The in-the-way-ass liberals are recording the city workers removing the tents off the street. What the homeless people going to do now? They're being removed. Oh, my God. Well, bitch, what'd you do for the past 4 years? You wasn't off. I can tell you, liberals love chaos and dirt. They love it. You want the homeless to be on the street so we can smell human feces and piss all goddamn day, huh? Because you're dirty ass. You guys ever seen the trend why conservative women look so good? Because we clean our asses, motherfucker. Unlike a goddamn liberal, we can smell you from a mile away, bitch. Get your ass out the way.
Okay, Brian, craziest touchdown ever.
Tennessee Titans, Music City Miracle.
Nice and snags it, starts running like he's double pumped. What does a play like that do to the locker room now?
Man, it's everything.
That's it? Where's Shaq? Is Shaq available?
Really?
Yeah, because he's not going to say it's everything. Or if he did say it, he'll go, it's everything.
New customers bet $5 to get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Plus, over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube TV.
Man, I absolutely love it. So it's just very bizarre to me because Democrats always, like, the first resort that they go to is that Trump is racist and he doesn't care about people, and yet they are protesting to keep DC full of homelessness and crime. Make that make sense. I mean, actions speak louder than words, right? You can scream all of these insults to Trump all the time, but when he is helping their race, then maybe he's not as bad of a person as you guys think. It's just so funny that they hate him so much that they can he is doing.
Trump has done it again. Have you seen the latest videos of DC? The sidewalks are spotless, no trash on the streets,
really?
No crowds of people stumbling around. It is peaceful clean, and honestly, it is refreshing. The locals seem happy. So far, I haven't seen a single video of a resident complaining. The only ones upset are people who don't even live there and just hate Trump. At the end of the day,
wow,
everyone deserves to feel safe in their own community.
Seriously. That's a right. It's like these Democrats always want to scream about how their rights are being taken away, yet they are actively protesting against the freedom of other Americans.
Do you not understand that this is what the residents want? I'm not talking about the bougie upper echelons, bougie blacks. I'm talking about the everyday grandmas that have to deal with these homeless people peeing and pooping on their steps, and then they have to clean it up. They don't feel safe when they walk into their neighborhood. The gangs and the dope boys are just standing around the corner, you know. I remember working with a community leader, and somebody had just gotten shot. This is like 5 years ago. And I remember her praying, and she said, Crystal, we're going to have to invoke the National Guard. And that was so foreign to me. Now I understand the shit. These people are helpless. And I'm not talking about the bougie black people that live in their gated communities with their new bills. I'm talking about the everyday grandmothers, and I'm so glad that President Trump cares about them.
I mean, DC has had the highest, they've been saying that they have the highest murder rate, more than cities that would surprise you, like Chicago. And so they have it a lot worse. My point is that throughout major cities in the US, we've seen them become very similar. I mean, they're probably not as bad. Like, I've never walked up to somebody and they're like, oh, this person just got shot. I mean, that is not a daily occurrence where I live, and maybe not where you live either. But we can all see how cities, when they become liberal, they become really crappy, and they become riddled with crime, and they're dangerous. And so you would think that even though those protesters are being like bussed in or flown in, that they would still understand what it's like to have a community like that, because this has been an infection throughout the entire country. And so these protesters, I mean, we cannot just say, oh, they're just stupid. They should understand, because this is a major problem in our country. And so who is the one funding this and is against our country and actually wanting to see it destroyed? I mean, take California, for example. Everybody has probably vacationed there before, and this is unavoidable. You're going to see this. There's homelessness throughout all major cities. And so everybody, in everybody's local news stations, you have heard about this for years and years and years. And so the fact that Trump is doing something about it, and there's a group from anywhere in America that would be against that, is shocking to me. On top of that, it's not the locals. I mean, if Trump was to begin to do this in Denver, for example, because I can speak on Denver, who would complain about that? Would it be the local business owners? Would it be the people who live there? Would they be like, oh man, that guy who always throws a can at me is gone now. I'll miss bleeding from my forehead every so often, you know, or when I went to Minneapolis, this guy told me that he saw a sign at the train station that said, please do not pee or poop. And he was like, I cannot believe that they had to actually say that so blatantly. Like, every person should know not to pee or poop on the train. And we were just making so many jokes about that. Like, imagine being homeless and being like, oh man, that was my favorite spot. Really, and we were just laughing and stuff. But none of the locals are going to complain. So if Trump began to clean up the cities where these protesters are from, are they going to be protesting against that? Or are they only against it when it's happening in a different city? Also, there seems to be so much it's so desensitized to see homeless people and see them on fentanyl just acting like zombies that we begin to see them as just completely gone. But each one of these people have parents, they have siblings, and maybe they couldn't help them, maybe they didn't want to get help, but there's somebody who's helping them now. It's the federal government, it's Trump. And so I don't think that their families would be protesting them getting the help that they need and for someone to force them to get it, because these drugs, they've told me that they're not what they used to be. This fentanyl thing, it makes their fingers thick like this, and they become incredibly addicted to them. They can't get off, so they just go into the hospital. They put them on some type of drug that helps them with the withdrawals, but then after that, they just go back to the streets and do it again. And they know that. And so they don't even go into the hospital, because what's the point of that? And so this cycle, whatever systems are in place aren't working. So these locals are making a good point. None of these protesters have done anything to help them. On top of that, it is if we have been incentivizing homelessness or drug usage. Hey, live 60 hours a week just to barely be able to afford rent. Or you could just mess around on the street. You could just drink all day, do whatever you want, spend your time however you want. And somebody's gonna just give you food. You'll probably get housing. You'll be taken care of. You'll be fine, and you can have all the freedom you want. That's not freedom. And so I think that for younger generations to see, oh, that's embarrassing. These people are getting arrested. Their tents are being taken down. That's not cool. I mean, that is so lame. All these criminals, they're just ending up in jail. I wouldn't want that for my life. I think that that is a message that we need to send to young people, because even if those people are actually too far gone, the next generation doesn't have to be. And as the years go by, this situation can be removed.
I don't understand it, and I don't think I ever will. Why the fuck is people that's not from the city saying DC's not that bad? Why is it from Denver, Colorado, saying DC's not that bad, and Trump is just trying to be a dictator? Gang, DC is fucking like Gotham City, bruh. Like, y'all do not know. Y'all out of towners, mo. Mind y'all fucking business, bruh. 4 infants got killed in a month. This shootings every day. Carjackings every day. The city is fucking wild right now, bruh. Yep. And it might say it's the lowest as ever been. That's because these niggas is just not getting caught. There's so much shit going on. Y'all don't even know, bruh. I'm really recovering from getting shot in DC, gang. So for y'all out of towners to be like DC's not that bad and this shit don't need to be done, y'all don't know shit, bruh.
Okay, he really just gave me a new perspective.
Like, for real, y'all don't know shit, bro. What Donald Trump is doing right now, getting the homeless off the street and putting all these law enforcement people in throughout DC, that shit needs to be done good. I'm tired of Gotham City, gang. I'm tired of that shit, bro. I'm trying to go to U Street and not have to worry about running from the bullets, bro. I'm sick of that shit, gang.
The way that he gave me a new perspective is because earlier I was saying, you know, shouldn't these protesters understand, at the very least? Don't they have some type of the city or area near them that they wouldn't enter into because it's not super safe? But maybe not. Maybe they're just completely sheltered or just unaware of how bad it is in DC. I think in some ways a lot of us were unaware of how bad it was in DC. But I mean, you can only say, oh, hey, ignorance is bliss, so go protest for so long. Because, I mean, at some point, you should be looking at the facts. You should be talking to locals, trying to get some inside information on what their life is actually like. And then I don't think that those protesters would, if they had all the information, would say, hey, I think that we should. How ridiculous it is. I mean, I don't know how much money would be a good trade-off to protest something so stupid, knowing that it's stupid. Okay, would you guys please make sure that you are subscribed, and we also do live Q&As every Friday. Hope you'll join us. Bye.
I really like this show.
The pink salt and lemon trick Adele used to lose weight is going.
I just finished one of the most incredible
on YouTube, seriously,
interviews I've done to date. I'm talking with Patrick Byrne, who was an intelligence asset for Obama, John Brennan, James Comey, and how they were trying to blackmail and manipulate Hillary Clinton how they had to quickly cover up with the Russiagate hoax, how the elections are being rigged. It is fascinating. I'm asking you to please like and share this with friends. This was difficult to get. He was very open. He's spent $80 million proving this. And now we're starting to see stuff from Trump, Pam Bondi, and from Tulsi Gabbard because of him and other people that are bringing the truth to the White House. Please enjoy. All right, today I am joined by Patrick Byrne to talk about the 2020 election, in fact, many elections for the last 20 years, how the CIA, China, Venezuela, Iran, they're all attacking the United States, trying to rig our system. Patrick, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, what an honor to be on your show with a good citizen of Harriman, Utah. I spent 20 years there looking out the window at Harriman.
Yeah, it's a good area. I like living in Utah. My audience will know this, but I recently reacted to an interview you did with Alex Jones where you laid out how you've spent close to $80 million tracking how the CIA, China, U.S.A. they've all been using our money against American citizens to rig elections. I want to just build on that and ask some questions and better understand things. But the first question I wanted to ask you was, from my past reading, you were one of the few people having these private meetings at the White House with President Trump about how his election was stolen. Many people went on to be sued. They got called in front of the J6 committee. They had their lives ruined. Why didn't they go after you? And what were you sharing with President Trump?
Well, I've written a book about that. It's called The Enemy Danger Close. General Flynn made it into a movie called The Enemy Within. You can see on Amazon Prime, where that scene in the White House is word for word. We acted out word for word what happened in that Oval Office. There's an actor, a younger and handsomer actor playing me. Dominion sued me. I think Coomer sued me. Some of the Smartmatic didn't, but the others did. I fought for the J6 committee to talk to me. They refused. DC taunting them, saying, look, I take all responsibility for J6. I'll come in under oath. I take all responsibility. You have me in. I'll tell you the story. It took shaming them for 18 months before they reluctantly agreed to meet me. And it's kind of funny when General Flynn, the hardest I've ever seen him laugh was the day after the January 6th committee started. Because if you remember the opening of that committee, there was, at the opening, the Democrats each gave a little 10-minute speeches, and Liz Cheney gave a 10-minute speech. Actually, the Democratic chairwoman gave a 10-minute speech, and Liz Cheney did. And in Liz Cheney's speech, when she gets to the end of the speech, she says, she reaches the crescendo of the insurrection, and she says, and on the night of December 18th, 2020, the Oval Office was penetrated by General Michael Flynn, the lawyer Sidney Powell, and somebody else. And it was funny. Mike Flynn came in the next morning laughing and saying, why is it? They're afraid to mention your name. Why is it? And I said, well, sir, I'm kind of kryptonite to the deep state. If you listen to me. And I sat down. It was the first time I sat and was debriefed on my whole history that he went and stewed on it a few months. And then he came back 3 months later, the day after the Durham report was delivered. He called me, said, Patrick, your Republic's hanging by a thread. We've got one chance. We got to go public with your story. And so that's how it turned into, I wrote a book, which he made into a movie, but they're afraid to mention my name. They're afraid to mention my name. I know all the secrets. I worked for Brennan, Comey, and Obama. I was Obama. I was never thought I was ever going to say this in my life. But I've been actually nudged that I should. So I was working for them out of Utah. There were years that Overstock felt like a cover job, frankly. And I was so active for them. And they had, by I think 2011, Obama elevated me to something called a national intelligence asset. So I was taking the real ace in the hole situations. And I know a lot of secrets I'm not supposed to know. And that is why the bad guys, if they blow me up, if they prosecute me, whatever, it backfires on them. They cannot center me in any way. They can't even mention me. That's why they find these circumlocutions to get around even mentioning me. That's why the mainstream, smart people notice this and get in contact. We say, given your prominence in all these events, Patrick, why do they write these stories in ways that they even avoid mentioning you? It's so weird. I say, yeah, they're all afraid to center me because they know at the bottom of all of this is this truth. This all started as a coup from Barack Obama against Hillary Clinton, Thanksgiving 2015, and I was let in on it. I was asked to take part. They made me think I was taking part in law enforcement. This isn't a theory. I took part. This was a coup from Barack Obama against Hillary Clinton. They had me bribe her so that Barack Obama could blackmail her. But I didn't understand that's why they were having me do what I was doing. And this was the Utah federal headquarters that's where the deep state moved when Trump first came into power. A whole bunch of them moved out to Utah. And so anyway, that's why they're afraid. They don't want to, they could, although I did hear in the last year of Biden that they would arrest me if I set foot in the U.S. I really stayed ashore more or less. I mean, I stayed abroad the last 2 years of Biden under the strong belief that I would have been arrested had I come ashore.
Okay.
I was doing a bunch of illegal things. There's no reason they couldn't.
Okay.
I had this DHS guy. I brought some people to a DHS guy in a foreign country, this very high-level DHS guy who debriefed them for 3 days. At the end of 3 days, he said, me and my guys, we can't even sleep. This is the biggest crime in history, Byrne. But do you realize how illegal everything you're doing is? Do you have any idea? So anyway, I was actually thrown out of, I shouldn't, I go too far abroad. What else would you like to talk about?
Okay, so now you've prompted another question. We'll get to the election in a second. So you're this asset, this intelligence asset for Obama. What are your thoughts on all of this coming back into the news? They find these burn bags about Obama and Hillary Clinton, and do you think we're going to actually see justice on anybody?
Yes. I think that they're digging down like through some Roman village. They find the Etruscan foundations of it. The Etruscan foundations of all of that is this story that involved me. I'm glad that they're back to saying they have broken through the idea that the Russia hoax started in August of 2016 with Crossfire Hurricane. That's not when it started. That's when the paperwork shows that it started, but it started a full year before that, maybe even 15 months before that. So they're just now they've broken through the cover story, but they're digging all the way back. But at the end, you're going to find this all started as a coup from Barack Obama against Hillary Clinton. Donald Trump won in a fluke or whatever, surprised them.
This viral showerhead boosts water pressure and cuts your water bill by 30%. This dermatologist from New York
Donald Trump won in a fluke.
Hello, everybody. Is the picture and sound good? Please let me know. Well, honestly,
or whatever, surprised them. And so they switched to this Russian hoax. And I say this is the guy that had bribing Hillary and shagging Maria. So I know what I'm talking about. This was everything from Thanksgiving 2015 forward was a big. We've been living through a soft coup, and I know this because I was working for Brennan, Comey, and Obama, and I was in the middle of it until I figured out what was going on.
Why did he want to blackmail Hillary Clinton? Did he not want her to become president?
As it was said to me in early February of 2016, Patrick, Hillary is going to be president and nothing for 8 years, and nothing's going to stop that. But think of it this way. While she's president, think of there as being in the Department of Justice a Bunsen burner, and the hand and the Bunsen burner. You remember your high school chemistry, a Bunsen burner, Steve? Yes. Your Bunsen burner has the information about the bribe on it. The hand on the Bunsen burner will be one of Barack Obama's people. And this way, if Hillary's a good girl and defends Obamacare, the flame stays low. If she's a bad girl and thinks for herself, it gets turned. This way, Barack Obama is going to manage Hillary Clinton for 8 years. Then she steps down and Michelle's going to run. And Patrick, that's the plan. So that was the plan. And so they needed, for that to work, they needed me to successfully get a bribe to her, which I managed. I arranged a bribe of $18 million for her, which she took in like January 15th of 2016. So that's really the backstory. This is all a Barack Obama coup. against Hillary Clinton. When Trump won, it all morphed into this Russian setup. Officially, it starts, I see now they're saying it starts December 7th, 2016, Barack Obama's involvement. That may be when they served the Russia hoax. It started in July of 2015. I think I can show it started in February of 2015. That's when they began baking the cake. They may have decided to serve the cake. They began serving it on December 17th, just 7th, 2016. But they've been baking it since for about 18 months. No, they've been baking it for almost 2 years by then.
Okay. Do you, one question before, do you believe Trump actually won 2024, or did they allow him to help cover up the 2020?
Neither. Trump did win 2024. He legitimately won it, and and their mechanism, they were going to steal it again, and their mechanism of stealing got neutralized. So I'm not saying anything more than that, but they have a mechanism. It turns out that they have a mechanism, and this is all stuff I've been laying more and more out over the last 2 or 3 years. There is in Serbia an office that is wired in that can enter all of this election stuff around the world. So really the backstory, let me come at this from a different direction. What really happened is a mafia came to power in Venezuela 26 years ago. It's called the Mafia of the Generalissimos. Only the way they say that obliquely is the Cartel de los Soles. The Soles is the suns. In Venezuela, the generals don't have stars. They have a sun on their shoulder. So the Cartel of the Suns, Cartel de los Soles, means the Mafia of the generals. They are the capos of the Mafia. The president, Hugo Chavez, was the head of the Mafia. And there's also two very smart people within it, a Hannibal Lecter type psychiatrist named Jorge Rodriguez and his sister, who's now vice president. And their importance comes in later. Anyway, this mafia took Venezuela, which has the largest oil reserves in the world. And so they wanted to steal two things. They nationalized the national oil company of Venezuela, PDVSA. They nationalized it, and then they have since looted $4 trillion. Incidentally, while their own people starved, that mafia looted $4 trillion. The other thing they did was they stole the election system. Now, because if you're sitting if you've just stolen the world's biggest gasoline station and you're pumping $4 trillion out over 25 years that you're pocketing, the other thing you need to make sure you got is the election system, so you never get dislodged. So they also stole the commission within government that runs Venezuelan elections. And this is a Fidel Castro clone. And he stole it, and they created an election system, a computerized election system. So the peasants of Venezuela would say, oh, computers, it must be fair and accurate. They don't know what a cyber vulnerability is. They computerized it, and they won all their elections from then on. They always win 51-49. They just went over and over, no matter what. Even though the polls show them down 80-20, they win 51-49. And they took that computerized election system, and they sent 3 Venezuelans to Boca Raton, Florida, where I happen to be at the moment, to Boca Raton, Florida, and they started a Delaware company called Smartmatic. They commercialized software developed by the Venezuelan mafia. And then that Smartmatic software, is fundamentally what's inside all the computerized election management systems, EMS, election management system. There's 3 major brands. I won't get you in trouble by naming them unless you want me to, but all those brands that that you've heard of, the innards of their technology package is all Venezuelan. It's the Venezuelan mafia. And I can't wait till they're all going to be in prison before we get to court. They're all going to, I can't imagine, because I'm making all this public, that we've put together over the years. And anyway, but this is, what's happened is, as crazy as all this sounds, finally the government has stepped in. Tulsi Gabbard, it was a very hot potato politically. Nobody wanted to touch this. Nobody had the backbone. Even when Trump came to power, DC didn't want to touch this. Even Trump's people, Tulsi Gabbard had the backbone. She stepped up. In April, she formed a director's study group, and they have absorbed not just our stuff, but there's hundreds of citizens groups around the country who for 4 years have been digging up all these different pieces of the puzzle. And Tulsi's special group assembled all these pieces. So the real credit goes to the citizens around the country who, they found that, but it was these citizens all over the country who never gave up, who kept digging, who surfaced these clues. And now they've confirmed, I think that they all, for them.
Did you know a dangerous amount of microplastics are now being found in our water, food, bloodstream, even our brains? These tiny plastic particles, often invisible.
All right, where's
they picked
where's Snow?
from the first 14 ways of stealing. It's like A through N, I guess that would be, right? They for your county, they're going to look, they say, well, based on the procedures and practices, they're going to choose B, D, and K. But at the end of the day, so they're trying, I'm sitting at the end of the day, if they want CD-ROM to beat iPhone, they got these 14 different ways in your county of cheating. They get it as close as possible. Hopefully they in their eyes, they win through these on-the-ground ways that you've been hearing about the last 4 years. But at the end of the day, they have a 15th way, and that is Serbia. There is an office in Belgrade, Serbia, who turns out this was all architected around 20 years ago. Every election in the world is really being decided in Belgrade, Serbia, on Huawei computers. And they decide if the candidate they wanted to win has pulled close at 7:01 and the precinct shuts down, but she hasn't won, they come on through a secret system into the back of the computers, which has a way they can do this, and they force whatever they need to force so that person wins. And they'll force it in a lot of places. If the race is closer, if somebody wins by 40.25% or more, there's no recount. But if they win by 50.25, but if it's 50.2%, there's an automatic recount. They'll even make things so that their candidate wins by 50.26%. So they have it down, and that's done on Chinese computers in Serbia. And we have all this. This isn't a theory. We have all the proof of everything. We have the people. We have the confessions. We have everything you could have. And if you want, we can then go to the last, most mind-blowing aspect of who's really behind this. But if you want me to stop there.
Yeah, no, I just, I've become friends with Jovan Hutton Pulitzer, who has also been tracking all this. I asked him, what question should I ask Patrick Byrne? And he said, ask him about Serbia. That was what he texted over to me. So, okay, let me pull up you're talking about the Doge.
Well, Alex got that a bit wrong. I didn't want to clarify him in front of his viewers, but Doge didn't make these reports. Doge surfaced the data. One of the great services Elon Musk gave us is he made it so citizens can go in and look at all this government data. So he did that. We had some researchers go in and they found this. It turns out that there is in Arlington, Virginia, an NGO called CEPS. There you see in the center, CEPPS. Stands for the Center. I should look this up or know it. It's the Center for Election Progress and Political Systems or something like that. It has been funded. Well, it has been staffed by the Open Society Foundation. Now, who's behind the Open Society Foundation? Does that name anything to you? That's
George Soros.
That's George Soros.
Okay,
that's George Soros, and it has been funded since July 2009 to the tune of billions of dollars by U.S.A. And we've also learned in the last 4 months, who was U.S.A. a front for?
For me, the Democrat Party overtaking the border.
The CIA. It's a front for the CIA. So the billions from the CIA have gone into CEPS. The managers, the board of from George Soros, and their mission has been to help the world modernize their elections by installing Smartmatic equipment and Dominion, but primarily Smartmatic. And if we go to the next slide, you'll see on the right there are 26 nations that they have installed Smartmatic. We're spending billions of dollars. And every one of those nations is from the Philippines to Estonia to, Finland to Zambia to it's all over the world. Everywhere they install these machines, nations have lurched left ever since. And so this is John Brennan and Barack Obama 6 months after they came into office. Once they learned, we don't know if that's when they learned about this. It looks system maybe a year or two earlier and reported it. But instead of doing the right thing, the CIA, John Brennan, made a deal with Venezuela and got this technology installed 26 nations and then flipped them left. Now there's another 46. There's a total of 72 nations. And I was with, as a General Flynn, when these people said directly to him, so we've been manipulating elections for 20 years in 72 nations. This is how the West looks like it's running off a cliff. The politicians doing this have not actually won free elections. Everything from all over Europe, these politicians who are, dropping the borders and letting 20 million people show up who hate Europe, things like that. That's all being done by politicians who are not actually winning elections. And and they've been working from the ground up for 20 years in our country. School boards, sheriffs, prosecutors, flipping everything against the Constitution, against the rule of law. They got to congressmen, senators. They got to the White House in 2020. But we got the institutions held and the citizens held more than the institutions held. The institutions really didn't do bubkiss, but the citizens held together for 4 years, and things got neutralized in 2024. It's the only reason we got through this.
Okay.
You guys like
Watch what milk does to your eyes. Take a look at these two retina scans.
Got neutralized in.
Do you guys like this live stream? Do you guys like this one here? I mean, we can stand there. If you guys don't want it, we can skip to the next one. Let me know what you guys want to do. I mean,
in 2024 is the only reason we got through this.
I love this kind of stuff.
Okay. Let me just use Pennsylvania as an example, because you said Trump didn't get effed. What I think you're referring to is Biden is going up or Trump's going up, and then suddenly there's this huge, and it looks like an F, right? So using Pennsylvania, for example, we go to bed, Trump's up hundreds of thousands of votes. We wake up the next day, he's lost to Biden. How is that possible? Even Pam Bondi, during her confirmation hearing, said, I'm not going to say the election wasn't stolen because I haven't looked into it, but there's things in Pennsylvania, for example, that are very concerning to me.
Yes. Well, we know exactly how they do it. How they do it. So believe it or not, when you go in and vote, if you mail your ballot in, your ballot comes in and it gets fed into just a scanner. It's just an optical scanner like you have in any office. Now, they dress it all up like it's this special ballot counting machine. It's a scanner. And it takes a digital image of your photograph, a digital image of your ballot. And then from then on, your piece of paper gets put away. That digital image becomes your ballot. And so now what they actually do is at 7:01, they come in to the machine through a back door. And what's actually happening is they take every 100 digital ballots. Once they have 100 digital ballots in that scanner, a program counts them, creates a scorecard that kind of shows the results, how many votes did each candidate get. Then it compresses and seals that whole package up, and it transmits it to the county server. That's how it's supposed to work. What they have is either they can put a hidden script on the machine that there's like a 15-second pause while it waits, and then it translates. In that 15 seconds, it opens up that stack of 100. It actually edits the photographs. Recompresses them, and then transmits that. Or they can do it after the fact. They can do it after the fact from Serbia. And they actually go. So all this stuff about recounts never find it, because they'll show you recounts as if people are sitting there going through boxes of paper. That's not how recounts are done. People sit at screens and they just get shown digital images of ballots, and they agree on where should the vote be given. But they're just going off digital images, which themselves can have been edited. And it's done, really, it can be done on an industrial scale out of Serbia. So there's this huge transmission. This part started 4 years ago, a huge transmission of the digital ballots on our systems gets transmitted to Serbia. There, the images are corrupted and swapped, then sent back and put back in the machine. So if somebody sits in and with the change votes, the change results, the phony results, if somebody sits there and say, I want to recount, I challenge these results, all they're taking that stack of digital images, opening them up, and people sit and look at them and say, no, everything matches. They're not taking out the paper, or they take out a box of paper and they show some people doing it just to put the photograph on the front page, but it's all done digitally. So everything, they have corrupted the system right back down to you can't even take the digital scanners results. You have to get the pieces of paper out. That's how they've done it. And they've done it along with a lot of lawfare, and they really studied how to overthrow our society. So like any lawyer who picked up a pen to try to work on any of this got disbarred and things like this. Yeah. And they have total information dominance. This was a communist revolution we just lived through, and we're the only nation that ever got through it.
Okay. Question. So on my show in the last couple of months, there was a story where China was sending hundreds of thousands of fake driver's licenses and pre-filled out ballots. I believe you were removed from Twitter, but I remember seeing a story where there was like a warehouse in Georgia where they were storing ballots and the FBI destroyed everything. Can you tell me about that?
Close. There was somebody I was working with in Georgia who had a whole bunch he was actually not a bounty hunter, a bail bondsman, with 30,000 felons. So a guy like that has hundreds of private eyes and different people to work from. One of them was a young gal like that, out of that girl with a dragon tattoo with blue hair and facial piercings and stuff. She got dressed up as Antifa, and she just went into this warehouse where they were running the Fulton County, Atlanta, Georgia election. And she just went in and went around and saw there were different stacks of blank ballots. And she took samples from different stacks. Now, all those ballots were supposed to be printed at the same shop, and she got samples, stole them, not of blank ballots, unused ballots from different samples, got them in her bag. We got them. That's where I was on January 1st, 2021. I was with a couple retired FBI forensic examiners specializing in paper forensics, and they examined it, and they said, here are the set of ballots. I forget the numbers, but this subset all come from the same batch.
Everyone's trying something just to get through the day. But if your legs feel heavy, swollen, or tight,
this subset all come from the same batch and are, we can't tell you what's legitimate, not legitimate, but these 7 ballots were printed in the same print shop. These 2 ballots you brought us, they were printed somewhere. In addition, this may have been, word started leaking out about this about December 28th, 29th. There's a voicemail that I've put up online of a Dominion executive calls a paper shredding company in town and says, send a truck over. We've got 3,000 pounds for you to pick up. And he gives his credit card. And that group comes over and they pick the stuff up in their truck. And it's one of these trucks that shreds, and the stuff is being shredded. The people I was working with got to that truck and stopped it mid-route, told them what they thought was going on, and had them go to where they found, I think somebody had bail bondsmen know a lot of people, so they found some mechanic shop that had an empty bay, and the truck went over and dumped out what was not shredded yet on the floor, and as well as all the shredded. And no, I guess it had all been shredded, but some of it had not been well shredded. But what they had shredded was not just normal shredding where you make a strip. They were doing a military grade confetti stripping where you're shredding like that. So you can't but they paid for the deluxe shredding. And there was a handbill, an invoice that had not been shredded that showed that it had come in that was for a box of a printing, something that had been printed in the Chinese printing shop That was unshredded. That's right. Some things had stuck to the wall of the internal of the shredding confetti making machine. And when they stopped and emptied out, there were some things stuck that hadn't been shredded, including that. And the DHS was all up on this and cooperating with the DHS field agents. The FBI showed up and they took command of the whole scene. They took possession of everything. There was a fight between them and the DHS agents. I got a message up to the Oval Office, or I got to somebody who could have given it to the Oval Office. But God, Trump is surrounded by a bunch of people that they're like throne sniffers. They're, or at least Trump won the first administration. And they were all more concerned about who got to talk to Trump and who's sitting closer to Trump. They're all like a bunch of French medieval, courtiers whose whole life is being in the court. And they're stupid. They're just thick. And you give them a piece of information like that, that should have gone right to the president and should have made a phone call to an agent on the ground, and this could have been stopped. Instead, you have these dumbs you got to work through. This whole thing could have been stopped in easily November and December 2020 if the people around Trump had been effective. They were horrible to work with, useless lawyers, starting with Rudy Giuliani, who was drunk every day at 10. Well, I always loved Rudy. Rudy's drunk every day at 10 a.m. and I'm sitting there trying to explain the most complicated cyber crime in history, and he's got no interest in here, Anyway, but he's not the only one. There were all these people around Trump. Very few are even loyal to him, and they're just schemers, and you can't work through them. You can't get anything done through them. So anyway, but he could have stopped things then if he'd called this field agent, but you can't there's too many people in the way who don't have Trump's interest at heart. Anyway, but that all got under the FBI direction. They got the truck back. It all got swept up, put in the Trump, and the guy was told to finish the shredding and then burn everything by the FBI, by some FBI agents.
Wow. So they burned all of that, just like they burned Thomas Matthew Crook's body, the person that tried to assassinate Trump.
Yeah.
Wow. Weird? That must be their go-to
method.
Who
do you think's behind that one?
I don't know. I mean, I was reading something just last night from Mike Benz, who was former cybersecurity, and he was just pointing out, like, there's no way that this was just a young kid with no digital footprint. He's got phone connections that are encrypted that the FBI can't get through. He's been doing target practice where cell phones are overlapping with FBI. I don't know. The whole thing is weird, but the fact that they're testifying, the Secret Service and the FBI are testifying that there's nothing to see here to Congress. Meanwhile, they're secretly burning the body. The whole thing makes no sense.
Yeah. Well, the most interesting aspect of that is there was a cell phone on the water tower, and somebody tracked afterwards that cell phone seems to have gotten on like a zip wire and gotten into the woods. Somebody shot the kid. I'm not sure the kid actually ever got any rounds off. Shot the kid, zip lines out, was picked up by a SUV and taken away. And that SUV is owned by the Department of Agriculture. And whoever was up on that water tower, his phone has been in the FBI field office in Pittsburgh a bunch of times, like 100 times. So, yeah, that was an inside job. There may have been routed through Iran or something, but I think there were insiders. I think there were domestic elements. I think it's the same people we're fighting from the beginning. I think it's this is a Bolshevik revolution, and that was probably Brennan.
Okay.
Brennan or Obama, not Comey, but Brennan or Obama.
Okay.
Or George, yeah.
But you think these people are going to be held accountable? Like the information that you are sharing with me, that's made it to Pam Bondi and Kash Patel, or at least President Trump?
Made it to Tulsi Gabbard.
Okay.
And she put together this very serious group that started hoovering back in April. Everything from all these wonderful citizens groups, as well as the different bad guys that had sort of gotten in touch with us and had all kinds of things to share. Everything got shared. And thank God, I can tell you that January, February, March, Uncle Sam, Trump was blocked. Trump did the right things. Trump gives the right orders. But you can't believe how the deep state thwarted him. He signed something, this has to be done immediately, and the deep state said, they accept the order, but then they block funding. They delay repositioning, allowing someone to reposition from here to here by 6 weeks. They stop any money moving in. They blocked him forever until Tulsi Gabbard finally stepped up. Nobody wanted, this was a very radioactive, not just hot potato, a radioactive hot potato. She stepped up, formed a study group, and they've absorbed everything from all these citizens around the country. And, they've done their own. I don't mean to take any, the citizens get ultimately the credit, but it's more like, the example I would use is, the Easter Island, we have those statues of the heads, 15-foot heads. It turns out there's like 40-foot bodies underneath some of them. Imagine a citizen saw this hillside, some citizens, and some hillside, there's no statues there, but something doesn't look right about it. Some bombs, and some citizens spent 4 years up there with teaspoons and little garden spades digging, and they get down to, the top of the head, the hand raised, something like that. And then they alert Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam comes in with the excavators and the bulldozers and get done in 400 years of digging with their teaspoons. And it's been wonderful to see. We're not trying to take any of the credit, those of us who were involved in this. It's been wonderful. They can get done in.
Did you know there's a way to drink ice cold water that can melt away all the fat stored in your belly? But be careful. This recipe.
Trying to take any of the credit, those of us who were involved in this. It's been wonderful. They can get done in 2 days, but we could get done in 6 months of FOIA requests and fighting things in front of judges and stuff. They can get done in 2 days. So it's just, they've gotten to the bottom of everything. And again, I'm not involved with them. I'm a country mile from them, but I know a lot of the people that they've been demanding to talk to. And I think that their minds were blown and they know everything. There's been a big fight, to be honest. There's been a big fight. My understanding is, this was all ready to be revealed by late June or early July. And the deep state has been fighting with Tulsi Gabbard to make this report less comprehensive. And she has finally refused. She refused. She's black and white. But the deep state wants them to say they found some vulnerabilities. The deep state doesn't want them to say elections have been hacked for 20 years. All these machines were compromised for 20 years. And in fact, we knew about this for 18 years. And in fact, we used it ourselves in 26 nations ourselves. And we've been doing it to flip the world left. They're just at the top of the CIA is in cahoots with China. They have this globalist vision and they've been flipping nations left, flipping nations globalist, let's say.
Okay.
It's hard to believe, but the CIA turns out to be behind 2020. They use the Chinese system, as well as been at it for 20 years, but it's turning out to me that the CIA, I think there's very strong evidence now that it was the CIA pulling the strings on 2020 and not China.
Okay, interesting. Okay, I put out a poll to my audience. About 500,000 people responded, and the number one person that they say Trump's best pick was Tulsi Gabbard. I put like Marco Rubio, Tulsi, Pete Hegseth, and Kash Patel, and she came back. I think she's had tremendous courage. I look forward to seeing what comes of this. Final question. I appreciate. I know how valuable your time is. Newsmax just settled a $67 million lawsuit with Dominion. They're not saying they're guilty. They just want this to go away so they can move on. Your thoughts on that? And then what was the outcome of your lawsuit with Dominion?
My lawsuit is still pending. I can't get him in a courtroom. The judge won't let my lawyer be my lawyer. We're fighting it all the way to the Supreme Court. My lawyer Stephanie Lambert has become like the expert in this. The best lawyer in the country, knows all the details of all the 15 different ways of cheating. She's been with me for this ride. They want me to get another lawyer, and I'm refusing. But why Newsmax did that on the day they did, they happened to do that on a day that, like, all hell's morning or Tuesday morning and did a long tweet or long thing about elections, and now he's mentioning it left, right, and center. That's not a coincidence. The avalanche has started Newsmax held out all these years, and then just now they surrendered. That's odd, but they made a mistake, and they're incorrect. They were correct. Their reporting was correct the first time.
Interesting. Well, it says right in there that they're not admitting guilt. They just want this thing to go away. So anyway, we'll see what comes of that. But yeah, my feeling is there's a lot more going on that Trump is leaking out to the people, and something big is coming. And I just, I'm trying to get it out to my audience. But, a lot of people are at this point, they're like, why are we still talking about Russia?
No.
Nothing's happened for 10 years,
No, he's done something. He sent 3 warships, a submarine, and 4,000 Marines to the north coast of Venezuela, and a $50 million bounty on your head as a president. And Marco Rubio is saying we don't even recognize this guy as the president. They're saying it's time for you to flee to Russia or we're invading. And so Trump's doing just what he should. This was an act of war by Cuba and Venezuela. There's no peace can be made with them. There's people surrounding Trump, trying to get Trump to make mineral deals for $4 billion and, forgive Venezuela. There can be no peace. They overthrew our republic. They've been doing dirty stuff for 20 years. They overthrew our republic 4 years ago, and Maduro has to leave. There can be no peace. We got to get rid of those regimes, that regime primarily, and then we can start, then we can start talking about cleaning up at home as well.
Yeah, I'll just show this to my audience really quickly.
And can you close it? Oh yeah.
Yeah, there we go. So this is just basically saying that Trump has sent 4,000 military, multiple warships to patrol the sea north of Venezuela. Venezuela says we're going to go to war. They're deploying. There's now a $50 million bounty on his head. So there's a lot in motion right now. Yeah. And
Venezuela can't make war. We could defeat Venezuela with the Salt Lake police force. Venezuela has a military. I've been there. It's entirely geared for suppressing the people. This is the military. There are groups of 2x2 female soldiers or national paramilitary, National Guard, who stand on every bridge, and they look. First of all, the military is only in the business of protecting. Military and police only protect government installations. Your citizens are on your own. The women in groups stand on a bridge and they eye. And if any group of 3 people or more than 3 people get together, that's illegal. And they make a radio call, and somewhere this bus of 24 male goons shows up and beats people up or arrests them or something if they start to form any group. That's the military. They can't stand up. They're not geared to actually fight a real war. They can't fight our National Guard. They're not a serious military. It's a bunch of goons set up to just run a police state over the people. So they can easily be, they're nothing. They won't last an hour.
Okay.
If we decide to go to war.
Interesting. Well, Patrick, I know you're busy. Thank you so much for coming on. I know you've spent a lot of money, time, resource getting this out. I'm so grateful that Tulsi Gabbard and Trump are taking action. And I just ask my audience, be patient. None of this stuff moves overnight, but man, so much has happened just in the last couple of months. I think there's reason to be optimistic.
This week and last week and this week it has started. If you look closely, the things coming out of Trump's mouth, the things they've said, something about Tulsi's delivered this report. There's things coming out of Trump's mouth. We got 3 warships off the coast of Venezuela. I see that the DOD released a photograph this morning of some SEALs going ashore somewhere in South America. This is all, it's not accidental. This is a language we are speaking to the government of our country is speaking to the government of Venezuela, and they have to leave. They have to leave. Their last election, they lost 80-20, and they just refused to leave.
Wow. All right, I'm going to put some direct links down below so people can follow you, check out your book, check out your website. Thank you for all that you do. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Stephen. Please include the Twitter link. Thank you very much, Stephen.
I will. Thank you.
Why the fuck is nobody talking about how they removed this Simpsons episode? Watch this clip very carefully.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Carmine Saint.
Come on, YouTube.
Video for Explain America, and President Donald Trump has given the order
Military is on notice. Before we get started, please make sure y'all like, comment, share, and subscribe. Those little things really help us out, and they help our channel continue to grow.
Oh, yeah?
President Donald Trump is not afraid to pull the trigger when he thinks it's time to do it. And the more people protest, the more people complain about what he's doing, the more he's going to actually keep doing it. And so when you complain, when you protest about what President Trump's doing in Washington, D.C., you have to believe he's going to respond forcefully. And that's exactly what he's doing. Look, Washington, D.C. has been a cesspool of crime and violence for decades under Democrat rule. They've had the opportunity to fix it. Multiple presidents, including this one, in his first term, have given Washington, D.C.'s mayors and city councils the chance to fix this problem. They failed. And now, President Trump, you guys know, already deployed National Guard. He's now sending more. And when FBI, when Todd Blanche was asked about it, when he was asked about it, he pretty much said, don't expect this to end anytime soon. It's not going to go back to business as usual. I want you guys to watch this and let me know what you think in the comments.
We'll get to the bottom of it at some point soon.
When the emergency is over in D.C., then these federal troops will pull out and the coordination will, I guess, be over. Then what? Just back to business as usual in D.C.?
Well, no, absolutely not. I mean, listen, the whole goal, President Trump's goal from day one has been to make this city safe, to make this city a place that we all enjoy being, to make this city a place that world leaders who come to see the president come in and are jealous of, and that's something that we are proud of. And for example, just last night, we arrested over 80 people in this city, including an MS-13 gang member. We took 9 firearms off the street. Since we started this effort, we've arrested 4 people on suspected homicide, over 50 people for drugs charges, and that's in August, and it's just been going on for just over a week. And so what our goal is to empower the police department and empower the leadership in D.C. to know that they can make this city safe again, and it will not be completely safe in 30 days, but we're already seeing results every single night and every single day that the community loves. And by the way, Laura, the same liberal media that's out there criticizing us and saying that we're doing something wrong and we shouldn't have the National Guard, they're the same liberal media that turn off the mics and jump for joy because they can now go to a restaurant without fear of getting mugged. They can now go home and go for a walk with their dog and their children without feeling that they're going to have somebody, a juvenile or somebody come and sucker punch them. And so this is a great thing for D.C. It's a great thing for America. And President Trump has talked about doing this for years. And we're happy to support him.
Pulling people off the streets, criminals, confiscating weapons.
Oh, yeah.
J.D. Vance, Stephen Miller, and Pete Hegseth visit Union Station. I've got all kinds of different videos, different perspectives on this. Welcome to Doug in Exile. This is where the happy patriots are. Part of why we're happy is Trump is making the positive case in Washington, D.C. that the government doesn't have to sit by and let crime, filth, the homeless, all of the excuses the Democrats gave, it shows that they are not capable of managing anything. You do not want Democrats managing your military. You don't want them anywhere near leadership in your country. I don't care that they exist walking around in the public. People are allowed to be lost and wrong, but you don't want them in leadership. Here's my case. Here's J.D. Vance visiting the troops. Okay, I'm going to show you. That's just kind of the behind like finding all the different perspectives on this. This one's really cool because it shows all of our military snapping to attention when J.D. Vance walks in the room. Watch this. Ow, snap to attention.
Hey guys, Eddie's.
Eddie's.
So, we decided to bring the Secretary of Defense. We appreciate everything that you're doing. So, you guys bust your ass all day, we give you a hamburger. Not a fair.
You guys bust your ass all day, we give you hamburger. He's passing out food to them. They brought a big box of food, which is one of Trump's favorite things to do. This one has a little better sound on it, the small clip here.
Whoa, let's free Washington, D.C. so that young families can walk around and feel safe and secure. That's what we're trying to free D.C. from. And as Stephen said, it's kind of bizarre that we have a bunch of old, primarily white people who are out there protesting the policies that keep people safe when they've never felt danger in their entire lives.
Old white liberals are outside protesting, going nuts over them coming and thanking the soldiers in D.C. And this is why the Democrat Party has nothing to run on. That's the big news of the week. The Democrats have nothing. Even Democrats, Joe Scarborough, they're concluding, they're going, we've got nothing to, we're running, they're the pro. Stephen Miller on Fox.
The Democrat Party is an extremist organization, Sean. It's not a political party in any normal sense of the word. A political party represents Americans. It represents law-abiding citizens. All you see all day long are crazy Democrats screeching on TV and violent illegal aliens. A political party exclusively dedicated to protecting terrorists, criminals, gangbangers, and murderers.
Yeah, run on that, guys. Run on that in 2026. And then I'm just going to find this one.
That's what they become. These sanctuary city mayors, DOJ's been very clear. They had a deadline and they violated it. They had a deadline to comply with federal law and hand over the criminal illegal aliens in their custody, the child rapists, the child predators, the drug traffickers, the human traffickers. The sanctuary cities, like Boston, refused to turn over these menacing threats to public safety. And so now they face not only revocation of funds, not only the loss of taxpayer support, but also potential criminal charges for harboring and smuggling. This is as real as it gets, Sean. The Department of Justice laid out to these mayors how they were breaking our laws, and they refuse to change their policy, and Attorney General Bondi is going to see this thing through to the end.
I love hearing Pam Bondi's name. Makes me feel more secure already. Why wouldn't Democrats turn over a child predator, an illegal alien child predator? I don't get it. Now, for those of you who don't believe me, here's the biggest one from John Solomon. Breaking, worst of the worst. ICE arrest. 8 arrests and 15 previous convictions. Why is this illegal? He wouldn't be here. You guys, you're nuts if you vote for these people. Here's a clip from our pal Devery Darkins on Kash Patel with this exclusive report of FBI's newest target being violent crime instead of tech crime.
According to our MSNBC exclusive reporting, his priorities are raising concerns in and out of the Bureau that with a new focus on violent crime, other FBI priorities like national security, white-collar fraud, and cybercrime could get less attention.
This is how MSNBC, I'm just reporting this news, I'm showing you how MSNBC does it. This is them saying that because Kash Patel is refocusing the FBI on violent crime, that there's internal FBI people going, whoa, this is bad. You got to stay on corporate crime, white collar crime, cyber crime with China. They're trying to get you scared that they're doing something about violent criminals all around America.
MSNBC Justice and Intelligence correspondent Ken Delanian joins us now. Ken, what are your FBI sources telling you about how this change could impact Americans and what they expect from the FBI?
Well, Ali, they're concerned that what has been the FBI's number one mission since 9/11, which is preventing a terrorist attack on the United States, that is falling by the wayside amid this rhetoric. You heard him say, let cops be cops. FBI agents are not generally cops. They don't consider themselves cops. Often they are lawyers and accountants.
You're spending too much money on lawyers and accountants then. They need to be more like cops. They're supposed to stop a 9/11. By the way, we didn't stop a 9/11. It happened. Then we scuttled all our resources on fighting as if the streets in America are the same makeup of what they were in 2001. That's 25 years ago. You know what? We have a new set of enemies by neglecting crime in America because of Democrat policies, and Democrats tend to control all of the largest cities, the blue cities, where crime is gone rampant and unnoticed, and we have the FBI hiring more accountants and lawyers. That's what part they don't understand. By the way, I love this too. This is MSNBC down at the bottom corner. It said it was exclusive. Exclusive means they're the only ones that think it. It's exclusive because they're the first ones to come up with this line of attack.
Investigators, and they do work on violent crime, but their priorities for generations, they've had other priorities ahead of that, including
for generations. Yeah. I just want to know, how are the results of generations of focusing on white collar crime instead of violent street crime? How's that been working for the FBI's results?
The national security priorities, not only stopping terrorist attacks, but fighting, for example, Chinese espionage, cyber crime. And then there's the whole gamut of sort of white collar crime, public corruption, fraud. All of that now is getting less attention because Patel has essentially made a series of changes where he's ordering that all agents be spending some time on violent crime.
You know what else the FBI has been working on and getting really good at with those lawyers and accountants? They're really good at creating and endorsing the Russia hoax. That's what they've been busy doing. MSNBC won't report on that. Only the number one news story, which is why MSNBC is going to crater into the ground. MSNOW, they call themselves now. We call them MSNO.
As well as immigration enforcement. Last week, there was a call in which it was announced that all FBI agents would be equipped with tasers. Now, that sounds like no big deal because a lot of police officers have tasers, but that is not what FBI agents do. They don't patrol the streets, right? And so that sent a message to a lot of my sources. Wow, things are really changing here and not for the good.
What? How did you get here? I've been doing research in so many travel guides. I found that.
So that sent a message to a lot of my sources. Wow, things are really changing here and not for the good.
Well, things are really changing there and not for the good. Anyone in my audience think it's bad to give an FBI member a taser? Everyone pile in the comments below and tell MSNBC what you think of giving every member of the FBI a taser. Of course, it doesn't occur to MSNBC that FBI cops could be the victim of crimes themselves with Democrat violent protesters. Maybe given there's Democrats around. Never put an X next to a Democrat. Here's one from our buddies at Breitbart News. Ken Martin, chairman of the DNC, head of the DNC, says the Democrats are, quote, the only party that's playing by the rules. Well, that would be the first time, and they have to abandon all norms to resist Trump. What about norms of nonviolence? DNC, they go, we're bringing a bazooka to a knife fight. That's their normal call to violence.
Democrats should shut the government down if the president continues to use the Justice Department to go after his enemies, or if he keeps National Guard troops in the streets.
Yes, you have a fascist in the White House, and that requires us. We cannot be the only one playing by the rules with the hand tied behind our backs. That old playbook, the norms that used to have guardrails on our democracy and protect all of us in this country, that doesn't exist anymore.
Thank God. The Democrat guardrails, the Democrat two-tiered justice system, I'll translate for you. The two-tiered justice system is going away. We're starting to fight the Democrats and fight their corrupt system that past Republicans never touched, guys, for 20 years. And it's about time we start touching them. Are you for putting the touch back on them?
You got to throw that playbook out the window because the Republicans have. We cannot be the only party that's playing by the rules anymore. That's why I said this isn't your...
They've been playing by the rules. They invented Russiagate. Is that playing by... You guys don't play by the rules. You open the borders illegally. You hide, you scuttled 300,000 children and put them with people in America that are not their parents, and you hid them. You hide criminals with your sanctuary cities. Are you playing by the rules? Really? Really? Having illegals vote? Is that playing by the rules? These people are, I love how delusional they are. I hope they keep, I don't want you to change tactics. I want you to keep going down this path, son.
your grandfather's Democratic Party where you bring a pencil to a knife fight. We are bringing a bazooka to a knife fight. Donald Trump wanted a showdown. The Republicans want a showdown. We're going to give it to them.
And you bring a bazooka to a knife fight, and we'll bring a nuclear bomb. We'll bring a particle accelerator to a knife fight, a particle beam, an ion cannon like they used on Hoth in Empire Strikes Back.
So we don't have power in the Congress. That's for sure. But
thank you, Lord.
We have the power of our voices. We have the power of our platforms to move public sentiment. And the public sentiment is moving our way.
But we can show you poll after poll. Democrats are less popular than AIDS right now. Your voice, the more you guys speak, the less popular you are. Again, keep going, buddy. Good plan. Look at that hysterical look. Look at his bulbing. His eyes are popping out of his head. Sir, it's like when someone drives at you and you go, you click off your high beams. You're blinding. You burned the back of my retina.
Yes, it's slow. Yes, people still want to see more fight. I'm not going to ignore that. But at the end of the day, I can tell you there are people, including myself. I've been in 30 states over the last 6 months, Laura, and I'm going to continue to travel this to this dictator.
You've been into 30 states, probably muling drugs to all your constituents. But wait, Trump isn't just affecting D.C. He has now reestablished himself as not just America's leader, the world leader.
It's very important to remember that before President Trump's landslide victory last November, there was no end in sight to this bloodshed. Now there may finally be light at the end of the tunnel and an opportunity for lasting peace. That's because President Trump is the peace president and American leadership is back on the world stage. It should not be lost on anyone in this room that world leaders are coming right here to Washington, D.C. for help. While previous presidents have traveled halfway around the world to apologize for America, President Trump stands up for America, and he has firmly restored America's status as the undisputed leader of the free world.
Undisputed leader, it's not in dispute anymore. Where's my proof? This is an amazing clip. You're not going to believe this one. Russian people showing support for America amid peace talks. This is in Russia. I'm going to come down here in the corner. Hammer and sickle, communist Russia. Watch them waving their American flags. Look at all the American flags in the audience. Peace is back. You can't tell me Trump's not influencing communist China with branding, with pro-American message, that he's not dominating the free world. Here's the last little picture I got for you. This is last night at the command center. AG Pam Bondi met Red, one of the U.S. Marshals HQ K9 units working to make D.C. safe again. We have even, look at the little dog. Look at the dog. How beautiful is that? She's taking a selfie with the dog. That is, America is being fixed. America is being healed. We're dominant around the world, and we're at least taking over and straightening out D.C., which should be inspiration for all other blue cities to straighten out their crime. This is incredible good news. The Democrat brand is not just in the toilet. They've been flushed. They've gone down all the pipes, gone out into the sewer. They're on their way to the water treatment plant. Maybe they'll change their brand when they go through the treatment that removes all the poo from their messages. I doubt it. I'm Doug in Exile. Subscribe.
Wait, if you were locked up in Illinois juvie at Cook County, the Audi home, or anywhere else in the system, this is the money glitch that's getting former detainees.
New information out.
You guys like the dog?
Shows how much President Trump will save people on their taxes. Chris Cuomo and Benny Johnson get into a yelling match during an interview. DNI Tulsi Gabbard removes 37 people's security clearance. And President Trump trolls Democrats and the media by saying he's running for 4 more years. Thank you guys so much for liking and sharing these videos. Let's jump right in. Chris Cuomo and conservative YouTuber Benny Johnson got into a screaming match over whether Governor Andrew Cuomo had killed a bunch of senior citizens during the COVID lockdowns. Let's go ahead and watch this together because it got pretty out of control.
Whoa, I don't think we want to talk about inflated overinflated numbers or why some of those numbers, especially in nursing homes, got so high. I don't think they want to go.
Well, why do you think they got high in nursing homes? You had old people there.
There was no reason that they should be putting people that were sick with a respiratory virus in nursing homes.
Oh, where would you put them, Benny? Where would you put them?
The single. I mean, this question's not up to me.
Oh, no, Benny, don't fuck around. Listen, hold on. You want to be a black-shirted guy. So where do you put them?
For it.
Oh, really? Because you were going to build facilities during COVID for people.
Didn't they build facilities?
No, they brought a tanker ship. So you wanted to put old people on a tanker ship when their home was the nursing home. The hospitals were told, you can't keep old people here. There's too much risk, which was true. You had to return them to where they went for residences. Where was that? The nursing home. The families, if they could take them, would take them. If there was an alternative, it was there. That's why every state that was told to do this by the federal government did it the same way. You see, Benny, gotcha is a short-sighted strategy.
Was it gotcha?
Q-tip, nursing homes. I get what you do, Benny.
All right, so those two went at it. That interview went on. You'll remember that Governor Andrew Cuomo is accused of killing almost 50 sick people in with old people instead of using the Navy medical ship that President Trump had brought in. One of the biggest tax cuts in years is on its way, meaning Americans could see themselves keeping a lot more of their hard-earned money. Remember, Democrats wanted to raise your taxes. President Trump, he's lowering them. The Trump administration's One Big Beautiful Bill Act is now projected to deliver, on average, a tax cut of $3,752 for American taxpayers in 2026. This according to the Nonpartisan Tax Foundation report out today. It represents the most significant federal tax overhaul since the 2017 Trump tax cuts. The savings vary depending on states, with Washington State and Wyoming having the biggest cut of nearly $5,400 and Mississippi and West Virginia having the lowest of around $2,400. The average American will save about $2,500 on top of what Trump already saved with the 2017 tax cuts. However, by 2035, those tax cuts will go away, which is why another Republican needs to win. And many of us believe that it's going to be J.D. Vance. At least we hope it will. I would like for somebody to be able to carry forward the MAGA agenda, and I believe that he is the guy to do that. Now, the person running to replace Senator Mitch McConnell, just a piece of crap rhino who has betrayed Donald Trump every step of the way. This guy has come out swinging. He's pro-Trump, pro-America, wants to make America great again. Let's go ahead and listen to what he had to say, because this is a strong candidate.
Well, Griff, you may recall, as we've talked about, I've called for a full moratorium on any new immigration coming into our country until we deport every single one of the 20 million illegals that Joe Biden has let into our country. Griff, we've been invaded, and all these illegals have got to go back. We're absolutely full. And if you look at places like Kentucky, our hospitals, our schools, they're absolutely overrun with these illegals. Our wages are going down for working class Americans, and they can't compete against somebody who's working for 70 cents on the dollar. And then you also have the housing crisis that comes with all the illegal immigration that's happening in our country. We can't get working class families to get the housing needs met because of all these illegals in our country. And just last week, I'm sure you saw this, but there's an estimation of 20 congressional seats that would flip from Democrat to Republican if illegals didn't vote. So we got to get these illegals also out of our census, which is absolutely crazy.
All right. I love it. I love this guy. He's pro-America. He is the exact opposite of Mitch McConnell. I hope Kentucky will wake up and put a strong pro-Trump MAGA candidate in, because that is what we need. We absolutely need that. All right. Now, yesterday, President Trump joked that maybe he would copy Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine and cancel elections in order to stay in power. Democrats and the mainstream media were losing their minds. The news cycle went from Trump is about to end the Russia-Ukraine to, oh my gosh, Trump is a dictator. He's a power-hungry fool that will never give up the presidency. In fact, Donald Trump knew that the media was following him in, so he took Zelensky in to go ahead and look at his 4 more years for Trump hat. And again, the mainstream media had an absolute meltdown. Nobody is better at trolling Democrats and the media than Donald J. Trump. I love it. All right, now, I don't believe he's going to do that. He has already said that he has no plans to run again in 2028. And if J.D. Vance wants it, that will most likely be the person that he will put up. All right, now, Trump's team appears to be continuing its expansion. Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey has just been named co-deputy director, and FBI Director Kash Patel.
Did you know that baking
Director Kash Patel. He will work as a co-equal with Dan Bongino. They need somebody with legal experience for everything they are about to do. He's a decorated war veteran and committed Trump supporter. Bailey is known for his high-profile legal work, including a 2024 lawsuit against New York, challenging what he called unconstitutional attacks on the democratic process targeting Donald Trump, and a 2023 Supreme Court brief aimed at halting special counsel Jack Smith from going after President Trump for January 6. Now, he also represented the Gateway Pundit in their First Amendment lawsuit. So this is a guy that understands going to court. This is a guy that understands going up to the Supreme Court. The real question is, why did Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and President Trump want Dan Bongino to have a co-equal and that person to be one of the most experienced litigators in America, an attorney general that had to step down in order to fill the position? I think something big is on the horizon, but I'll let you guys make your own decision. All right, Tulsi Gabbard, DNI Gabbard, has just stripped 30.
Yeah.
She says being entrusted with a security clearance is a privilege, not a right. Those in the intelligence community who betrayed their oath to the Constitution and put their own interests ahead of the interest of the American people have broken the sacred trust they promised to uphold. In doing so, they undermined our national security, the safety and security of the American people, and the foundational principles of our democratic republic. This is why, at POTUS direction, DNI directed the revocation of the security clearance of 37 current and former intelligence professionals who abused public trust by politicizing and manipulating intelligence, leaking classified intelligence without authorization, and or committing intentional egregious violations of tradecraft standards. Our intelligence community must be committed to upholding the values and principles enshrined in the U.S. Constitution and maintain a laser-like focus on our mission of ensuring the safety, security, and freedom of the American people. So 37 people connected to the Russiagate hoax and other leaks and betrayals of our country have had that revoked. I think that that is great, and I'm actually very, very excited about that. All right, popular news outlet Newsmax has agreed to pay Dominion Voting System $67 million to settle a defamation lawsuit where they claim that Dominion Technology had rigged the 2020 election in favor of Joe Biden. The settlement, disclosed in an SEC filing, calls for an initial $27 million payment due by January of 2027. Now, this judge said that it was false and defamatory. However, Newsmax has not admitted to wrongdoing and said that they believe that they covered the truth in a fair and balanced way. But because of the $787 million lawsuit against Fox News, they've decided to go ahead and end that situation. All right, now I have a lot more to share with you, but first, a word from today's video sponsor. Hey friends, it's Stephen Gardner here, and today I want to tell you about something really exciting. I've just partnered with Monetary Gold, one of the top names in...
A lot of people are walking by whispering, saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. They're hearing stories every single night and day of people saying that they feel safe now to walk their own neighborhood where they live because of what our great men and women in law enforcement are doing at the directive of the president.
So people in Washington, D.C., they're super happy with President Trump stepping in and keeping the Capitol safe. I've talked to many people. I've thought about going to Washington, D.C., but I've stayed away because of what I hear about the crime, the carjacking. No thanks. I'll cover this from my house. But they're now saying, yeah, you can walk the parks. You can go. It's really, really amazing what they're actually getting done. And I think that... I don't know. I think we might see some people swinging their vote more conservative in the future. All right. Now, one of my favorite people to listen to is Victor Davis Hanson. He outlined last night that Trump's greatest accomplishment is actually the destruction of the Democrat Party. Nothing has damaged America more than Democrats. And he just walks you through why all of that is true.
Watch what milk does to your eyes. Take a look at these two retina scans. They both look sharp.
And he just walks you through why all of that is true. It's really amazing. Let's go ahead and listen to this together.
Donald Trump's greatest legacy, he broke the Democratic Party. And he exposed it for what it was. It was a bi-coastal elite party with a bunch of billionaires who spend lavishly and a bunch of subsidized poor and a professional class that feels frustrated. They make $200,000 and $300,000 a year, but they live in these blue cities that are very expensive and they can't buy their beautiful home. That's what the Mondami constituency is, frustrated young white professionals. And then they've lost They have lost the muscular classes, Hispanic muscular classes, black males, white. As I said before, if you look at 2016, 20, and 24, Donald Trump's white vote, it's pretty constant. And he did not win the popular vote in 2016 or 2020. And his voting, and yet he did win the popular vote and the Electoral College in 2024 with the same percentage and actual numbers of white voters. So what happened? He picked up some women, he picked up some young people, and he got 55% of Hispanic males, and he got about 25% of black males, and he picked up another 10 to 15% of Asian males. And how could that be if he was supposed to be a racist, according to the Democrats? It happened because they don't like, it's not that they're just people. They don't want to be talked to. Nobody wants to be talked to. And basically, this is a caricature, but the Democratic attitude toward a black truck driver or a Mexican-American electrician was something like this. Now, you don't know what's good for you, but those 10,000 people crossing the border every year every day, and the 2 to 3 million people that cross every year illegally in the Rio Grande Valley, they're going to be good for you. I don't care what you say about your schools being swamps, crime going up. They're good for you. Remember that. Now, men have a right to transition, and they are now women, and they're going to compete in your daughter's sports, and you don't know what's good for you because you're too ignorant. But I will represent you. I'm a black woman with a PhD. I'm a Hispanic woman that's your congresswoman. I am your white liberal Chuck Schumer or Nancy Pelosi, and I will tell you what is good for you. Got it? And then they'll say, you know what? You don't understand that gas at $5.50 a gallon is really good for you because the planet is heating up, and the new Green Deal is going to save you. Get some solar panels and get on the team. So they talk down sanctimoniously, and that was never clearer when Barack Obama confronted those black Democratic activist young men and said, basically, you don't know what you're doing. You think Donald Trump's good or something, you've got to get out there and support Harris. You're suffering basically from Marxist false consciousness. And I, and as an elite, know what's good for you. And I will tell you, now go do it. That's what he basically said to them. For me, the locus classicus, the epitome of this is Pete Buttigieg. Everything about him represents what I just said. Sanctimonious, self-righteous, talk down. I know the answers. I know what's good for you. I am the transportation secretary. I don't think California is suffering from not enough freeways or it's too crowded. It's suffering from racist legacies of clover leaves.
I love that guy. I mean, he just is so good at walking you through the stupidity of Democrat leaders. And he's so right. Like everything that they tried to do, like a bunch of illegals is good for you. Why? My housing's up, my food costs is up, my gas is up. They're good for you. Men beating up women in women's sports is good for you. You having to compete for a house or an apartment, it's good for you. You having really expensive gas, we're sticking it to Vladimir Putin and we're healing the planet and it's good for you. Screw your wallet, screw your ideas, screw your wife, screw your children. That was their messaging. And people said, wait a minute, no, I want someone who not only fights for the things that I want. Trump was on the right side of 80% of issues for the average American, but he also gave you choice. You want an electric car? Have an electric car. You want a gas car? Have a gas car. You want a hybrid? Great. But you want cheap gas? We're going to give you cheap gas. Like, he just gave you options. That's what I love about President Trump, is he fought for most of the things that we care about, and he's just done so many incredible things. Now, one thing that HUD is doing that is getting some mixed feedback, and you'll have to let me know in the comments where you stand on this, but Trump's HUD director is recommending to President Trump a rule change where Section 8 housing will only be available to able-bodied Americans for 24 months. This means that if you are able to get a job and you're choosing not to, then you're not going to get housing that is paid for by the American taxpayer. So they're saying we're thinking about making this rule change where, again, if you're able to work, you can't be on Medicaid. If you're able to work, you can't be on Section 8 housing. So you're probably going to have to go through an interview, do a drug test. You're going to have to prove why you're unable to hold down a job. And those changes are coming as well. All right, final story that I want to share with you guys. The CDC is being sued for illegally pushing 72 doses of vaccines on children in America. They're saying, now that we know that there's very little testing with these vaccines, this is not good medicine, right? Like, there's no other medicine out there that gets to skip all of the steps that vaccines go through. Some of these, they only tested them for 5 days, and then they got some loser in Congress to approve it and give them billions of dollars. Also, there's never been any testing against non-vaccinated children and vaccinated children. There's also been no trials of vaccines being pushed at the same time as other vaccines, meaning what happens if we give chickenpox and hepatitis and MMR all at the same time? Or if we do whooping cough and hepatitis B at the same time? They've never done any of those testing. And so now the CDC is being sued, saying, this is not real science. This is not real medicine. These are our children, and we need to make sure that they are safe. All right, that's my update for today. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. I'll be on later with a huge interview that I think many of you are going to appreciate as well.
Why the fuck is nobody talking about how they removed the Simpsons episode? Watch this clip very carefully.
What is Operation Restore Justice? This is brand new from Pam Bondi and Cash Patel. Welcome to Doug in Exile, where I try and find just the biggest news today in politics. And politics tells us where we're at today, kind of this giant river that we're all floating down. It's not the only important stuff, but it's the kind of stuff that's being marketed by both and by our broader American culture and how it fits into the whole world. These are, when you go back and read history from 100 years ago, that's not reality. It's what they were marketing and pushing at the time that everyone was focusing on. So I weigh in on the conversation. When culture tells me, you will be obsessed with diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, or Black Lives Matter, which is just, polls show that it just spiked under 2020. Nothing on the ground changed as far as who blacks and whites are or universities are, but they decided to pick up these topics and push them in your face. And I'm only saying I talk back. And you talk back. And that's what this is about. It's about inviting you to exercise your free speech. No one silences you, and no one has more power or authority than you in America. All of us are created equal. So it does not make all of our thoughts equal, but it means all of us have a say. Here's Cash Patel on saving active children, restoring justice, restoring it because Biden lost it all.
Our children. If you harm our children, you will be given no sanctuary. There is no place we will not come to hunt you down. There is no place we will not look for you. And there is no cage we will not put you in should you do harm to our children. The prioritization of this administration and General Bondi has made it abundantly clear to child predators, you will be hunted down and you will be prosecuted. And that is a refreshing thing to hear for the men and women who do this work tirelessly. And it's also an acknowledgement of the safety
practice. Trump is obsessed with saving children that are enslaved right now, not 30 years ago or 25 years ago. And they're suffering. They're being held right now and they're hunting them. That's where our resources need to go. Instead of going after 1,000 victims from 25 years ago, which frankly, I don't have a time machine. I can't do anything about that. But we can do something about 300,000, they're saying 400,000 active known children that were placed in custody of people that are not their parents. Here's more from, this is a tweet from Pam Bondi. We now have made over 550 arrests in Washington, D.C. That's just Washington, D.C. And have made 76 illegal firearm arrests off the street, saving lives. Remember, these are all criminals in D.C. that were allowed to just walk the streets under the Biden administration. This would continue under the Kamala Harris administration, and it stops on Trump. So it's not just child predator crimes. These are about people with 76 illegal firearms walking around. These are street Saturday night specials. So this is them taking a harder stance on crime to make D.C. safe. What's a bummer is there's a bunch of other states controlled by leftists. These are blue states that intend to continue what D.C. was doing, which is continue to protect these thugs and not arrest these people. You can help. Here's something brand new. You guys, they're saying we can help. Call the U.S. Marshals headquarters, as this tweet address is offering a reward for any information if you know of any leading to an arrest. Together, we will make D.C. safe again. If you know of any D.C. crime going on, call it in. This is a bounty, $500 to help with public safety. And there's a scan here. If you have an anonymous tip, here's Brett Baer with waste within programs at the EPA. So this is Lee Zeldin at the EPA is talking about the kind of fraud activity that was normal operating procedure. And we're talking about, with the saving of those children, a kind of morality. So these are, sometimes they would wash the money into an NGO. 4 different pastors would take their cut, and the dollar never went to the suffering people. So when they said if you stop U.S.A. and you stop these NGOs, children will starve, they always hide behind, we're going to save the children, we want to help the children. No, they were pocketing the money that was supposed to go to children.
You have to be almost an investigator to see the bank shots of where this money goes, right? I mean, that's part of what you're trying to find out. Have you been shocked by what you found?
Stunning. And in one case, for example, in the Solar for All program, a $7 billion program, that's been canceled, we found examples where there were 4 pastors and they're all getting a VIG. So it's not like the dollar goes from an appropriation of Congress to a dollar that gets used for some good reason on the back end. Think of how much that dollar gets diluted when you have 4 pastors each taking their 15+%.
So this is in case you guys think, as a Christian, I don't call out other Christians. I'm calling out these pastors, absolutely, as part of the fraud. And they hide behind being a pastor, a man who's full-time, supposed to be administering the word of God, and they're taking grift. That's like Ananias and Sapphira in the New Testament, just in case you think that's all in the Old Testament. Ananias and Sapphira lied about giving their property to the church, and God struck them dead on the spot. He went OT on them.
We're not the biggest name in ED medication, so we made the most complete one. But when you're not
them dead on the spot. He went OT on them.
For the people who look and hear this and say, oh, this is the fleecing of America, this is expanded government, and you guys are attacking it. They looked at Doge and said that was going to do it. And they haven't seen that yet. They haven't seen that develop, and all that was talked about really hasn't come to fruition. How do you deal with that criticism?
Well, at this agency where we've now canceled 3 times the size of our operating budget, we've been proudly implementing a zero tolerance policy for any waste and abuse. Working with Doge on top of the $27 billion that I canceled for the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund was over $2 billion of many hundreds of grants where No, and I want to be able to account for every single dollar that goes through this agency. That is my duty. Now, unfortunately, it's not a situation where unanimously members of Congress all want me to be able to account for every last dollar. There are members of Congress, when I was appearing before the Senate EPW committee, people like Senator Whitehouse or Senator Schiff or Senator Markey insulted by the fact that we are digging deep and exposing all this corruption.
They don't want accountability. This is about what is an alleged failure of Doge. Doge never had the authority to actually cancel the money. All they could do was point a light on it. And then you have to have proper leadership to actually go in and reorganize the budget. That's why Lee Zeldin has been so effective in stopping what he said was $30 billion in this greenhouse gas deal, this sham green deal within the EPA. He has the authority to go in and change it. So Doge can only look in the files and in the accounting and then tell leadership about it. Then the leadership has to go and use their will, or the Senate has to pass a law. So Doge never had, it was all a lie saying that Doge was going to walk employees out of the room. They never did. They never had that authority. Here's more, another clip of that. Lee Zeldin, Democrats are a criminal organization. There's no real way around it. EPA head Lee Zeldin heads his agency was used to funnel billions from the Inflation Reduction Act, formerly the Obama and Biden officials. He's showing how this Democrat stuff was just laundering money everywhere. This is over on Pod Force One, a different interview than that Brett Baer one.
When I was going through the confirmation process, this video comes out. It was done through Project Veritas, but it was of
That's James O'Keefe doing his independent undercover journalism, who got canceled on every platform because of it. He's so effective.
A Biden EPA employee who was talking about how the agency was tossing gold bars off the Titanic, rushing to get billions of dollars out the door before Inauguration Day. he was also talking about the desire to get themselves jobs at the recipient NGOs. And these members of the Senate, it was coming from Senate Republicans who were asking, demanding, if confirmed, would you please make it a top priority to quickly get to the bottom of it? Absolutely, was my response, with great enthusiasm and eagerness. And our team quickly was able to trace down so much. Basically, every time we overturned a rock, we found something under it that was either filled with self-dealing and conflicts of agency oversight. And when Democrats had one-party rule in Washington, D.C., they passed this bill called the Inflation Reduction Act that had tens of billions of dollars to go out through EPA. Well, EPA didn't know how to spend tens of billions of dollars. So they decided to park $20 billion at an outside bank and to have that bank send the money through 8 pass-through entities. All these NGOs, pass-through entities that were riddled with self-dealing and conflicts of interest, former Obama and Biden officials, Democratic donors, as you pointed out.
Money was laundered to the Democrat Party, but it's for the children. I had Christians at church who are Democrats come and tell me, I'm okay with Doge looking at things. I just really want to protect the children and the aid. And I know people where the warehouses are being shut down now that are supposed to get aid to starving children. I'm going, you can blame the Democrats for that because they were all grifting, taking money out of that chain all the way down. So they were saying in some cases less than 14% of every dollar was getting to the actual children. So of course you're going to come out and say, hey, I'm here to do good. You're very well paid to do good. In some cases, $500,000 a year to do good. And then you can always claim, but I want to hide behind, I want to protect the children. You're holding up a child, a starving child in front of you as your shield for your personal gain. And that is immoral. That's one of the things that Trump is stopping. One of the things that's starting under Trump I've talked about Christianity. Let's get to some Buddhist monks who want to give him the Peace Prize. Now we're going to go around the world to different religions. Here's the Buddhist monks.
70,000 monks just broke their vows of silence to nominate Trump for the Nobel.
They even sinned. They broke their vow of silence. That's how much peace Trump is bringing.
Dear Mr. President Trump, we are standing here today with hearts full of appreciation. Today, 70,000 Cambodian Buddhist monks are wholeheartedly supportive of our Cambodian Prime Minister Nominate to nominate you for the Nobel Peace Prize. Please accept, Mr. President.
70,000 monks can't be wrong.
Trump brought peace to the region. And I just want to
A stick of butter a day keeps the love handles away?
The reason butter is called butter is because of the...
Just want to shove that in the Democrats' face because they're supposed to be all multicultural, multiculti. We're into other cultures and, the one religion of Christianity isn't the only one true. But it's funny how even this other religion, that now that there's 70,000 of them endorsing Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize, you watch, they'll go like, that religion's false. They've been lied to. Suddenly they're no longer these carriers of truth when the message disagrees with their agenda. Here's Cuomo.
You remember that Islamist who drove a pickup truck with an ISIS flag attached through Bourbon Street, killing 14 people? Texas, right? And we used to see that as an irony, right? Wow, from Texas. That's like the last place you'd expect a Muslim extremist from, right? Wrong. Texas is ground zero for what I'm talking about.
Ground zero, a mosque. They were trying to rise up with Sharia law in Texas. So we're going to go to another religion now, Islam. And I love having another Democrat throwing Muslims into the light for what they're doing in Texas. This is a red alert to Christians, and I'm not here to, and if there is a Muslim in my audience, that that's not the point I'm making, but you do know that I believe Sharia law should be illegal. You cannot say that there is a Sharia law carve-out country within Texas that's under the authority of the Quran instead of our government.
Did you know there's a push to create an Islamic residential development there? 1,000 homes?
What if they made a Christian development of 1,000 homes, which I would support Christian homes? What if it was this would be national news, but it's Muslim homes, Islamic homes. I don't know if every one of them has a parapet on it. They do have a lot of swimming pools there so they can conduct their honor killings and drown infidels in the backyard.
Through 12, faith-based school, a mosque, everything. Here, we assimilate. Here, the struggle is to remove the distinctions, the melting of.
You assimilate into a Christian country. I won't give up that. I will not say that this is an atheistic country. This country was by Christians, for Christians. Adam said our Constitution was no good other than a good Christian nation. It's not going to work otherwise. I have no problem with other religions existing side by side. In fact, it was Washington that was the first one to say that he would defend Jews, formal Jews who are Christ deniers. And I love the idea that we've always given them a country of sanctuary. Okay. And that includes Islamic moderates, because all these Islamic moderates, and I'm not saying that's what's happening in Texas, but Islamic moderates should come to America because you'll be beheaded in an Islamic radical because they're moderate. They're seen as, oftentimes, they're the first infidel they go after. Now, finally, we're going to end on this Laura Ingraham clip with Todd Blanche. And Todd Blanche is one of the guys that blew open the lid on the Russia hoax, called out Schiff, Hillary, all that.
Will they begin to see real pain in terms of losing federal funding since they are making the cities more dangerous with their policies?
These are sanctuary cities. This, again, goes back to Pam Bondi, which we also opened this show on. Pam Bondi's making it illegal to be a sanctuary city.
I mean, it's not just, yes, so federal funding, but this is about safety. It's incredible to watch the Boston mayor and some other mayors as well try to justify their conduct and justify what they're doing in their
they don't care, Todd. They don't care. So what are you going to do about it? They do not care, and they're giving you, the big middle finger. They don't care.
She's like my chat. Where's the arrests?
Well, what we're doing is we filed lawsuits in 9 states already, and you can expect more of those to come. There's potentially criminal investigations coming because in lots of situations, these cities are not just enacting sanctuary laws where they protect any information from coming to the federal government about illegal criminals that are here, but they're actually obstructing our efforts to do so. All we're trying to do, think about this for a minute, Laura. We're saying, can we go into your jails? The people that are charged with crimes, can we go in and find those who are here illegally and get them out? And people like the Boston mayor are saying no.
So they're already jailed for a crime. Many of them child predators. This is how the Biden administration's legacy continues to protect the evil, current, today, right now, evil.
How voters are okay with that in any city is beyond me, but President Trump's not okay with it, and I'm not okay with it. And so, yes, look, we've already filed lawsuits. You can expect more of that. We're putting a lot of pressure on these cities, and the fact that the mayor had to come out and say that is a good start, but there's a lot more to come.
Lawsuits aren't enough. Look at Laura. She's given him the look. Trump won overwhelmingly. You have a mandate. This all sounds way too slow walking to me. So I agree with some people in the chat. Where's the arrests? The problem is our court system, our legal system, indictments, investigations, they all go too slow and people will suffer in the meanwhile. And what Biden did and Obama have done and Hillary have done to this country is an emergency. They have put millions, probably tens of millions of people, caused them suffering, and we can't reverse it fast enough. But the good news is we at least now have enough authority to go in and start arresting them for ICE warrants. You have to expose it first. The public has to come up behind it and support it, which is why we do our shows on topic to the MAGA agenda of where we're supposed to point that fire hose. I'm trying to put more gasoline in the movement's tank to get things moving. It comes from talking about it, not by disengaging and saying nothing will happen. I have nothing to say. Oh, I have everything to say. I'm leaning in and I'm pushing and I'm rooting for you, saying go. Now you weigh in. Let me know what you say in the chat below. I'm Doug in Exile. Subscribe. Trump is heralded around the world by every European country, by Zelensky, by Putin, as the greatest transfigurative person in this war between Russia and Ukraine. The only people not on board in the entire world that still hate him is the Democrat Party. Probably about 20 to 30% of America is the only people that still want war, are rooting against him. Otherwise, Trump's got this. Welcome to Doug in Exile. I hope you'll let me make my case, because this is about the long-lasting change that Trump brings. I know you think this is about the war with Ukraine and Russia. It has far-reaching tentacles. I'll show you them. Thank you guys for commenting, liking, sharing, and of course, subscribing. Got to get me to 1 million subs. Right now, we'll lower it down to about, let's get me to 600,000. But thank you for watching. I really appreciate your time. So I put together this package just for you. Check this out. Here's Trump. This is one of my favorite comments. He talks about theology.
I want to end it. You know, we're not losing American lives. We're not losing American soldiers. We're losing Russian and Ukrainian, mostly soldiers. Some people, as missiles hit wrong spots or get lobbed into cities like Kiev and towns. But, you know, if I can save 7,000 people a week from being killed, I think that's a pretty... I want to try and get to...
Hey, does that... He says... being killed. Does that sound like he just wants a Pulitzer Prize, or does he really want to stop killing? And then to the Democrats who got the Pulitzer Prize, you know, guys like Al Gore and Barack Obama, they don't care about saving people's lives. They certainly love killing unborn people here in America.
I think that's a pretty... I want to try and get to heaven if possible. I'm hearing I'm not doing well.
He wants to get to heaven. Trump, this is not how you get to heaven. However, he says, I'm going to play this again because this kills me. He says, I think I'm on the bottom rung.
I want to try and get to heaven if possible. I'm hearing I'm not doing well. I am really at the bottom of the totem pole. But if I can get to heaven, this will be one of the reasons. Well, I think I saved a lot of lives with India, Pakistan. They were going at it. The planes were being shot down. That was going to be maybe a nuclear war if I let that go. And I did that through trade.
I really hear I'm on the bottom rung. Now, little does Trump know, but I know that's actually a key is repentance. Notice he's not standing there going, I'm at the top rung. He believes he's going to earn his salvation, which is impossible. Any Christian will tell you, you cannot earn your salvation. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter how much good works you do. Otherwise, it negates what Christ did on the cross. If you don't ultimately need faith in Jesus, then it was stupid of God to send his son and sacrifice for our sins. No thanks, Jesus. Don't need the cross. I've got this. No Christian talks that way. So Trump, we're going to help him out with his theology a little bit. But he is on the right place by saying, I'm on the bottom rung. He realizes he has to earn something. And I'll tell you guys a little secret. I'm on the bottom rung. If you look at my life's good works, it does not save me at all. The more you're aware that you're on the bottom rung, when you realize what you really are before God, that's what leads you to repentance. Here's R.C. Ryle, the great Christian thinker and writer, great pastor, a Christian from the past. A Christian is not a person who experiences no bad desires. A Christian is a person who is at war with those desires by the power of the Spirit. So Trump, realizing he's on the bottom row, he just needs to be at war and have the Spirit in his heart. Look, here's Scott Bessent. on the world-altering ninja that Trump is, greatest president of my lifetime by a mile. I don't think he's as great as Lincoln. I don't think he's as great as Washington. Washington established the country. Lincoln saved it from falling apart and basically imploding. Trump saved the world in a different way because this is a different kind of philosophical civil war that he saved us from.
President Zelensky, we had a very good meeting with him and his team in the Oval for about an hour and a half. And then we met with the European leaders. It was an incredible group to have in the White House, all led by President Trump. And yes, the culmination of that. And my strong belief is that there will be a bilateral meeting between President Putin and this conflict is to get the two sides talking.
Okay, and Trump got them talking in a way that didn't happen before. I'll prove this never would have happened without Trump. And this is the correct path forward. Trump found the only path forward that could work. All of the world leaders couldn't do it. All of the world leaders couldn't figure it out. This took Trump's unique personality to do. That's my case. There's smarter people than Trump. No one more effective. Here he is with these world leaders around the table.
This viral showerhead boosts water pressure and cuts your water bill by 30%. This dermatologist from New York
there's smarter people than Trump. No one more effective. Here he is with these world leaders around the table.
I know yesterday you talked about arranging a meeting to take place in 2 weeks between Putin and Zelensky. Is there an update there, and do you plan to attend?
No, I thought I'd do first let them meet. You know, they haven't been exactly best friends. They haven't gotten along very well. And I called President Putin yesterday, and I do have a good relationship, but it, only matters if we get things done. Otherwise, I don't care about the relationship. I do have a good relationship with him, but I want to get things done. I've solved 7 wars. We ended 7 wars. I thought this would be one of the easier ones, and this has turned out to be the toughest one. India, Pakistan.
So that's easy when he said all ended in week 1, and he's publicly admitting this is tougher than I thought. This ends up being the hardest one. And I think this is brilliant talking, too. He's trying to get them to talk to each other. And he said, I'll only come if I'm invited. I don't have to be there. These 2 men have to work it out. I'll explain why that's the correct path forward also.
These were big ones, and also all big ones, and some going for 31, 32 years, one for 35 years. The Congo, think of that, the Congo and Rwanda for 35 years. I got that one done. I got them all done, but this one is the one that is the most difficult. And
I'll tell you why it's the most difficult. It's because EU is so financially involved with this war. And the past administration funded Zelensky so much, they've propped him up and prolonged the killing. This is the philosophy behind the meeting and why I'm so for Putin and Zelensky to meet. All that meeting is war by other means. Right now, the conflict on the ground where these guys are killing 5,000 people a week. Russia's lost 1 million people. I think Ukraine has lost half that. These guys could all they're doing is they're arguing out in the field where men shoot each other in the face and children are bombed and men's society is bombed and people gut each other. That's what war is. Anytime you can have a ceasefire and have 2 men, literally Zelensky and Putin should move in together and argue around a coffee table. And Zelensky should say, I'm not going to give up my land. And Putin should just say, I'm going to take your land. That argument is the exact same thing as what's happening with the bloodshed on the battlefield. The bloodshed on the battlefield is completely unnecessary. These 2 men should argue around a table. And that's why Trump is he's just against the killing. And he said, I don't care about the relationship with Putin. He doesn't even care about the friendship with Zelensky or any of these EU leaders because I care about what they do, about the results. That's a well-spoken philosophy. Now, remember, Trump is seen as a oafish kind of imbecile. And here, Europe, everyone I used to say, everyone in Los Angeles wants to be in New York. The LA people are going but in New York, when I visited New York, I got the best, sushi or food or whatever. And then you go to New York, and New Yorkers all want to be Europeans. I went to France. Oh, it was amazing. My French Riviera, you know, they want to be Europe. And the European snobs, we're going to go to the top thinkers, all the top, John Calvin and Derrida and C.S. Lewis and Churchill and all of our legal theory, natural law, it was all argued in Europe. And Wagner and Wittgenstein and all these great thinkers, Marx, Kant, Rousseau, all the thinkers. And what are they saying? Trump has a way.
In the past 2 weeks, we've probably had 3.5 years.
Trump did in 2 weeks that all of the rest of NATO and Europe couldn't do in 2.5 years. Trump, I think he's only read 3 books probably in his whole life, and one of them is his own biography. And he outsmarted all these people. That's street smarts, gut, his personality, frankly. It's who he is.
And I think the fact that we're around this table today is very much symbolic in the sense that it's Team Europe and Team United States helping Ukraine.
And he doesn't mention Russia. We're actually going to help Russia too. You know, all of the media ripped on Trump, saying, how dare you laugh and be nice with Putin? How come no one ripped on Trump for laughing and being nice with Zelensky, which he was? He was incredibly, incredibly kind. This was about he gave Putin a carrot and he's giving Zelensky a carrot. He's trying to get them in, but he's not going to get us involved in this war. Don't worry about that, guys. He's not an idiot.
Progress that we're looking out of this meeting is about the security guarantees.
The security guarantees. They're trying to get America to agree to security guarantees. That's all that Zelensky wants and a lot of these EU guys want, which Trump is like, look, maybe some security guarantees. He wants to see Zelensky give something up first. We're not going to get involved in this. We're not going to give more money. This is our buddy Sean Davis down there in the lower right hand on, we're not going to give him troops. You know, this.
Do you think there's reason that a second meeting, a trilateral meeting that brings Russia, Ukraine, and the U.S. together can find something acceptable to all parties?
Eating too much salt causes hypertension, right? Nope. What about too much bacon and red meat? Nope. It's actually...
Russia, Ukraine, and the U.S. together can find something acceptable to all parties.
I absolutely hope so. I think I'm more hopeful now than I've been in years. And I think the major thing that's changed is Chuck laid out. The ground conditions haven't changed, but one thing has changed, and that's the president of the United States. And I think Putin and Zelensky know that Donald Trump is a very different president than Joe Biden was. And when he says he wants peace, he means business. And I think looking at all these different peace deals Trump has put together recently, it's obvious the man wants peace. He wants peace deals. He wants war to end. And given the American financial involvement in this, I think we actually have the power to make that happen. And I think both Zelensky and Putin understand that Trump's not screwing around the way Biden was.
Biden was screwing around. He caused this war. Democrat weakness caused this war. The Democrats that wear that Ukraine flag, every single one of them who voted for Biden, ironically, they caused the war. Democrats killed Ukrainians and Russians, but especially Ukrainians, the innocent party. Democrats caused this invasion. When you have a wolf like Putin out there, you don't put up a weak paper. You did this. You caused war. Like Sean Davis said, this is my favorite quote from him. Nothing on the ground in this whole war. The only thing that's changed is Trump is the president now, and the Democrat Party is not involved. By the way, the Republican Party's there, but it's not the old Republican Party of the John Bolton, Paul Ryan, you know, the old guard. Okay, they would probably be involved with funding this war. The old rhinos, you know, I don't have a philosophical problem with Republicans or a philosophical problem even with neocons or warmongers. I do have a problem with them being wussies that don't fight. Wussies who will not put their own sons in battle and then want to fund a war. My son's joining the Marines. So all these wussy Republicans. This is Trump. This is a MAGA. Donald Trump Republican is running the party now, and there's a chance for world peace. The world is healing from that cancer that was Biden. Here's lunatic Candace Owens. I just want to show you a little. This is just she's so strange. And, I'll give her a compliment. She's pretty. She's intelligent. She puts on a great show. However, she's wrong.
Johan writes, Candace, do you think Trump told you to ease up a little because he knows Macron sells every important French industry to the United States since 2014?
Why does it sound like every black helicopter conspiracy theorist? It's like, do you think, Trump told you to back up on him? And they give this long string of black helicopter secret facts of who's funding who and who's behind it and who manipulated the war machine and the Jews. Everything goes back to this long. Here, I'll do it again. Do you think?
A little because he knows Macron sells every important French industry to the United States since.
Does Trump know that? I doubt it. No, he doesn't read your same conspiracy website that has you, a mental slave, terrified, believing all these weird powers that be are controlling things behind the scene. And she believes even they control Trump. Listen to this.
2014. I've thought a lot about that. I kind of go back in my mind to that conversation, and I find myself wondering whether or not Trump was being directed by somebody to give me a call, and whether he was being honest with me, if it was really coming from him, if it was coming from higher up.
What higher up is controlling Trump, Candace Owens, you imbecile? Can you believe this? I have to wonder if Trump told me to lighten up because he thought it, or because someone higher up than him is telling him to tell me to lighten up, someone who really controls him. Does Trump look terrified to you? He met with Putin and chummed it up with a guy. He met with Zelensky. He took a bullet to the ear and stood up and said, fight. Who exactly is Trump so afraid of that he's doing what they say and taking their messages and obeying them? Candace Owens. Guys, these influencers, why can't anything just be what it actually looks like on the surface? We'll get to more of that. I'm sorry, Candace. Come on, girl. Come on. Here's Trump.
We got to stop mail-in voting, and the Republicans have to lead the charge. The Democrats want it because they have horrible policy. If you have mail-in voting, you're not going to have many Democrats get elected. That's bigger than anything having to do with redistricting, believe.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Trump is giving us, I got a message loud and clear, boss. Loud and clear. He goes, we're going to end mail-in voting. It is more important, more influential than redistricting. So that's what he says. I'm not saying that that's what he says. It's more influential than redistricting. I might disagree with him and think that redistricting is actually more important. You control that census and all that, limiting mail-in voting. I mean, what would be more influential would be if he could convince all Republicans to do mail-in voting. But I agree what he says, that the mail-in voting system that we use is a lie. That is, it's supposed to be for military to mail their vote in, for Trump, who's a political leader out of town, to mail his vote in, for people who are handicapped or impaired and can't reach a voting booth. Yes, you can mail your vote in. It's not made for you to say, I can't show up on election day, I don't wanna, or I can't get the time off work. That's not what mail-in voting should be for. So he's right on that.
Everyone's trying something just to get through the day. But if your legs feel heavy, swollen, or
So he's right on that. Here he is on redistricting, just to prove that he didn't fully abandon the topic here. Republican state this is Trump on Twitter. Republican state legislators in the great state of Texas, which I love, won big 3 times, including with 6.4 million votes in 2024, by far the most votes in history. Just congressional map. Thank you to Governor Greg Abbott, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, Speaker Dustin Burrows, and the state legislature for your great work. It is wonderful to see Republicans everywhere standing up to save our country. It is one of the most popular initiatives I've ever supported. Republicans love watching us fight for a great cause. Please pass this map ASAP. Thank you, Texas. Make America great again. There's the new congressional map. Look at there's a little blue corner here, little blue corner in the middle, on the right, and up here. in Austin. All done. Pass the map, guys. This is Tulsi Gabbard. This is more on the far-reaching tentacles of that move with Trump. She says, over the past few months, I've been working closely with our partners in the UK, alongside with President of the United States and VP Vance, to ensure America's private data remains private and our constitutional rights and civil liberties are protected. See, UK has allowed Apple to put a backdoor spy campaign on American citizens. This has to do with Trump being with Keir Starmer and Europe in those negotiations with Zelensky. He brought them closer. They want to work with us. And now Tulsi Gabbard has an excuse to go back to UK and say, how about you remove that back door that allows Apple to spy on American citizens in UK? As a result, the UK has agreed to drop its mandate for Apple. So remember, oh man, this is so amazing. Drop its mandate for Apple to provide a back door that would have enabled access to the protected, encrypted data of American citizens and encroached on our civil liberties. Apple, Tim Cook, we've seen him meet with Trump. I showed you guys a video a year ago. Tim Cook was sitting with Trump in Europe saying, hey, can you get Europe off my back, off of Apple's back? They're all over us like flies on chocolate. They're making us put this back door in the iPhone that's going to allow them to spy, or they're saying it's going to be illegal for Apple, or they're going to fine us every day. They were fining Apple hundreds of millions of dollars. That's how UK, funds itself. And Trump, through Tulsi Gabbard, just now got UK to back off of Apple, putting the back door into spying. See how this works? Our relationships, Trump's relationships are all working. I'm going to show you. This is some posturing. You can look at the posture on this. This is term 1 for Trump on the left versus term 2 for Trump. Fully in control now. The world is out his command. So look at this. This is Trump in his first administration. You can see Bolton over his head. Look at that hack, washed up, gone, working against Trump the whole time. He's got Germany there, Japan, all around him. Disrespectful posture, bossing him around. Now look at him today. There he is behind his desk. There's the head of Italy, Germany. There's Marco Rubio in the background. Here's Caroline Leavitt's in the little throne seat looking directly across from him. Pete Hegseth, J.D. Vance there on the couch. Macron. This is the dude from Finland actually taking notes. Good man, you should be taking notes on how to run your country. Zelensky. Trump is wielding the world like an orchestra. No American troops, though, guys. Don't you worry. Trump's going to make a promise here.
What kind of assurances do you feel like you have that going forward and, past this Trump administration, it won't be American boots on the ground defending that border?
Well, you have my assurance. I'm president, and I'm just trying to stop people from being killed, Charlie. Look, they're losing from 5,000 to 7,000 people a week.
He's just trying to keep people from killing each other. No American boots on the ground, guys. And what you didn't see in that conversation, I did not bring up the clip about child trafficking. Zelensky brought it up because Trump brought it up. He said, we're looking for children around the world. What is that about? Trump is saving children. For the people going, I got some flack yesterday. Go back to Epstein. Go back to Epstein. Epstein, the children that were involved in that are 45 years old. There are 300,000 to 400,000 children today in a garage somewhere with duct tape on their mouth because of Joe Biden, and Trump has to save them today, not play Scooby-Doo on the Epstein files. I care a lot about child trafficking. So does Trump. We're going to stop it, and Tom Homan's after them. Look, here's Donald Trump. Ursula von der Leyen, the distinguished and highly respected president of the European Commission, and I have been discussing the massive worldwide problem of missing children. This is likewise a big subject with my wife, Melania, that note that she sent to Putin. It is a subject at the top of all lists, and the world will look together to solve it, hopefully bringing them home to their families. Top of all lists, that means it puts it even above redistricting or mail-in ballots. Find those missing children around the world now. They're being abused now. Not in a secret satanic rituals under the White House. You lunatics, quit reading those websites. Common slavery owned by people, 300,000 of them now.
We've seen, as you know, 500,000 children trafficked over a 4-year period in the United States. This administration is going to investigate every instance of child trafficking, labor trafficking, sex trafficking, child smuggling, and all the attendant crimes involved in that. And our message to everyone in the country is to cooperate fully with Immigration and Customs Enforcement so that we can end the scourge of child trafficking and child abuse that has been endemic these last 4 years.
Something that you should have that you haven't reported. As you know, 300,000 children are missing, right? 300,000 under Biden. We've already gotten back 10,000 of those children, and we have a lot more planned to come back. We're getting them back by the thousands, but 300,000, and we've, as of this morning, over 10,000.
That's Trump tweeted that yesterday about 10,000 missing children they found.
Watch what milk does to your eyes. Take a look at these two retina scans. They both look sharp, focused.
Today, about 10,000 missing children they found. He said yesterday, find those 500,000 children right now. He did not post once about Epstein files. Guys, get on topic. This is yesterday. This is where MAGA's going. We're saving children now. If you care about child trafficking, end it now. And finally, I'm going to end on a happier note. I'm tired of yelling at you guys. Sorry about that. I'm angry. Here's Laura Ingraham. I'm angry because you're being lied to. That's what makes me angry. People are lying to you and they're getting you off topic, which is doing what the Democrats want. I want us to help Trump and Bondi and Patel turn this country around now. It's in trouble, guys. It's do or die. It's go time. Cut the gloves off. Here's Trump giving an amazing compliment from the Italian lady, Melania.
Thank you very much, Donald, Mr. President, for hosting us today in this important meeting. And I think it is an important day, a new phase after 3 years and a half that we didn't see any kind of sign from the Russian side that there was a willing for dialogue. So something is changing, something has changed, thanks to you. Thanks also to the stalling in the battlefield, which was achieved with the bravery of Ukrainians and with the unity that we all provided to Ukraine. And the reason why I mention it is that we also have to remind that if we want to reach peace and if we want to guarantee justice, we have to do it united. So that's why it's a very good day, the one we are in. You can obviously count on Italy as it was from the beginning. We are on the side of Ukraine, and we do absolutely support your efforts towards peace.
They support Trump's efforts for peace because before it was the Europe's efforts to war. I love what she said there. Something has changed in 3 years. We're talking now. It's important to pray for peace, for Trump to break the will of Putin and Zelensky and Europe. Trump will bring peace. Something has changed. And I say this for the entire country. This involves our entire country. It was going to hell, and something has changed. And his name is Donald Trump. I'm Doug in Exile. Subscribe.
And under a minute, can you list off very quickly all the things that Trump did for our country and how he was proven to be right when everybody called him crazy or wrong? Go.
Absolutely, rapid fire style. He warned about the border crisis. He was right. Said China was manipulating us economically. He was right. Exposed the corruption of the media. He was right. Called out the deep state, FBI abuses, and government overreach. He was right. Pushed especially for the middle class. Cracked down on human trafficking operations. Documented. Said Hunter Biden's laptop was real. It was. Tried to bring manufacturing back to America. Warned about inflation from reckless spending. It hit. Come after him to stop the movement. Not just paranoia, it's playing out. They mocked him, silenced him, called him a threat. But over and over again, he was right.
Can you keep going? Another minute, rapid fire.
Let's go. Round 2, no breaks. He pushed for peace in the Middle East, Abraham Accords. Told Germany not to rely on Russian energy. They laughed, then regretted it. Said Big Pharma had too much power, they went after him. Tried to pull out of the WHO, called out global control, pushed for school choice. Parents are demanding it now. Said CRT and gender ideology were being pushed in schools, they denied it, now it's exposed. He warned social media was censoring truth. They banned him, then admitted it. He fast-tracked COVID treatments while calling out the fear narrative. Predicted Biden would crash the economy and lose control of the world stage. Look around.
Even AI knows President Trump is the single most vindicated and correct politician in my lifetime or yours. Donald Trump was right about everything. He actually has a hat that says that.
Yeah.
Juvenile detention staff allegedly failed.
Hey, welcome to my borrowed tree. With my borrowed tree. When you employer me, you want to win your next election. I can help you win your erection. So much democracy.
What's up, guys? Spenny. Donald Trump is truly going at the heart of darkness in the election rigging machine that is the Democrat Party. First, you deport all the criminal aliens, and then second, you get rid of the ways that they cheat. The criminal aliens obviously add to Democrat numbers in Congress because the way we do our census, that counts persons, not citizens, that needs to change constitutionally. Democrats rig places like Los Angeles, states like California, areas like Chicago by packing them full of criminal aliens. Many of those criminal aliens vote. There are too many instances to count, but there are hundreds of instances of illegal aliens voting in our elections. There are some municipalities like New York that want to make it legal for illegal aliens to vote in our elections. So they're giving up the game right there. So deport the criminal aliens, and that's happening at scale. There is now 1.7 million illegal aliens that have been deported or self-deported since Trump took office, a massive reversal of a horrific trend. So that's rule number one. Rule number two, then you have to fix the way that people vote. And one of the worst conceivable way to vote is mail-in balloting. And we have covered this so many times. We'll play a supercut at the end here to talk about the number of instances of mail-in ballot fraud in every state, everywhere in the union, and in thousands of federal cases. Mail-in balloting has proven time and time again to be the worst possible way to vote. It literally reduces the value of your vote, which is arguably the most sacred thing you have in this country. And the only way that you can really fix this country by peaceable means, it reduces the value of your vote down to the paper that is printed on, less than the paper it's printed on. And for every fake or fraudulent or illegal mail-in ballot, and there are hundreds of thousands, millions, who knows how many there are, for every one of them, they cancel out your vote. Every criminal alien that votes cancels out your vote. Every illegal mail-in ballot cancels out your vote. It all cancels out your vote. So you pay your taxes, you do your job, you raise your family, you do your best to provide for them, and then one criminal alien literally can cancel out my vote. I mean nothing, right? One fake mail-in ballot cancels out my vote. I mean nothing. I mean this is something that when I was living in DC, and rant over after this, but when I was living in DC, the way that mail-in balloting worked was they just mass mailed out ballots to every residence in DC for every person that's ever lived there. So not only did I get a mail-in ballot, but I got 20 mail-in ballots because every person who lived in my home over the last 10 years got a mail-in ballot. So you got all these mail-in ballots, ever stacked. So I could have voted 20 times if I was an immoral person or if I had some type of criminal enterprise I was running. And that's exactly what happened, by the way. Trump, knowing this, has set out on a mission, absolute berserker mode. Trump went this morning, saying he's going to outlaw mail-in ballots, and voting machines in fraud crackdown. They cheat at levels never before seen. President Trump going ballistic on the way to end the Democrat Party as we know it. Donald Trump is back bashing mail-in ballots, signed an executive order outlawing the voting method. The president snubbed the expansion of mail-in voting, the 2020 election, to accommodate for the pandemic. That's exactly what it was, by the way. This is what the pandemic was all about, this and crashing the economy for Trump. I am thoroughly convinced. He said mail-in ballots caused widespread fraud. That's utterly true and has been captured on camera and reported on dozens of times. 4 years later, during his successful 2024 campaign, he repeatedly pushed his supporters to embrace voting by mail. The pendulum swung again on Monday when the president took to Truth Social to slam the idea of voting in elections by mail-in ballot, 2026 midterm. Trump said he'll be leading a movement to get rid of mail-in ballots and overhaul voting machines. Claims were used by Democrats to steal the 2020 election. He did not give a timeline for his issuance of the executive order. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead and read. This is quite the interesting read from the president. I'm going to lead a movement to get rid of mail-in ballots and also, while we're at it, highly inaccurate, very expensive, and seriously controversial voting machines, which cost tens of thousands more than accurate and sophisticated watermark paper, which is faster and leaves no doubt by the end of the evening as to who won and who lost the election. We are now the only country in the world that uses mail-in voting. All others gave it up because of massive voter fraud encountered. That's an absolute fact. We will begin this effort, which will be strongly opposed by Democrats because they cheat at levels never before seen, by signing an executive order bringing honesty to the 2016 midterm elections. Remember, the state is that merely an agent for the federal government in counting and tabulating the votes. Let's read that again. Remember, the states are merely an agent for the federal government by counting and tabulating the votes. They must also do what the federal government, as represented by the President of the United States, tells them for the good of the country to do. With their horrible radical left policies like open borders, men's playing in women's sports, and transgender woke for everyone, and so much more, Democrats are virtually unelectable without using completely disproven mail-in scam. Elections can never be honest with mail-in ballots voting, and everybody in particular, and Democrats knows this. I and the Republican Party will fight like hell to bring honesty and integrity back to the elections. Mail-in ballot hoax using voting machines that are complete and total disaster must end now. Remember, without fair and honest elections, strong and powerful borders, you don't have a semblance of a country. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. President Trump has gone berserker mode on this. He's obviously this and the future of the Republic depends on it. President Trump has been depending on his team to look into this. Tulsi Gabbard said recently at the White House that they've discovered some real problems with electronic voting.
What's the point in getting super hard down there if you're not even in the mood for sex?
Yeah, actually, I guess that does kind of...
Real problems with electronic voting. Here we go.
I've got a long list of things that we're investigating. We have the best of the best going after this. Election integrity being one of them. We have evidence of how these electronic voting systems have been vulnerable to hackers for a very long time and vulnerable to exploitation to manipulate the results of the votes being cast, which further drives forward your mandate to bring about paper ballots across the country so that voters can have faith in the integrity of our elections.
During our interview with Tulsi Gabbard, we asked her about this, and it sounds like there's something big that's cooking here. You made a comment at a cabinet secretary meeting that has stuck with our audience, and they'd really love an update on it, and it's about the 2020 election. And you were talking about the security of that election, and you were telling President Trump that there has been evidence that has been uncovered of potential breaches. I'm not exactly certain, but I'd love a follow-up on this. Here's the moment right here, and perhaps do you have any updates on the 2020 election or anything that you've found, Director?
The point that I was making there in the cabinet meeting was early discovery that I had seen from a whistleblower who came forward who was working under CISA at that time, which is responsible for critical infrastructure and trying to protect against cyber vulnerabilities, critical infrastructure, including, of course, the integrity of our election systems. And what was interesting was seeing how this whistleblower brought forward information that CISA at that time, the federal government, was aware of vulnerabilities in our election machines, but they chose not to disclose that information to the American people or to the administration at that time. This is an area, of course, of critical importance, once again, for the American people to have faith in the integrity of our elections and that it is their voice that is heard through these elections. We're continuing to investigate this, and when we have information that we are ready to release, you'll hear about it.
Okay, so we're going to be hearing more on the 2020 election and some critical vulnerabilities.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
President Trump sounding off not just on Truth Social, but also in a recent interview about mail-in ballots. That this is something that's going to change the country for the better. Democrats are going to lose their mind over it, but this is how we save the nation. Here's the president.
Said your election was rigged because you have mail-in voting. He said mail-in voting every election. He said no country has mail-in voting. It's impossible to have mail-in voting and have honest elections. And he said that to me. It was very interesting because we talked about 2020. He said, you won that election by so much. And that's how he got it. He said, and if you would have won, we wouldn't have had a war. You'd have all these millions of people alive now instead of dead. And he said, and you lost it because of mail-in voting. It was a rigged election. But mail-in voting, Sean, the politicians, I think I'm going to make it a big, I know the answer, is that Jimmy Carter, years ago, along with Scoop Jackson and some others, they had a committee. Respected people, good committee, Jimmy Carter, good guy. He was a good man. And the conclusion was you can't have mail-in voting. We have mail-in voting. It's so dishonest. They send stuff. Some people get 7 ballots. Look at California with that horrible governor they have. He's one of the worst governors in history. He's incompetent. He doesn't know what he's doing. They send out like 38 million ballots. Some people get 5, 6, 7. But Vladimir Putin, smart guy, said you can't have an honest election with mail-in voting. And he said,
I would love to see election reform.
We have to do it. I don't know why we're not doing it.
No,
and you bring it up. The Democrats don't want it. Look, the Republicans want it, but not strongly enough. I mean, they got to want it strong because it can't be honest. It goes through a postman. It goes through somebody. Run voting booth. You go in, you have to hand a card, a picture, or this or that. You don't have everything perfect. You get sent back. Go get it. It's very hard to do something fraudulent with a vote.
Paper ballots.
Mail-in voting. They give you boxes of stuff. You have no idea where they came from. This mail-in voting. You can't have a great democracy, republic. You can't have it. Well, maybe that's why we're going to end up with a communist mayor in New York. I don't know. He probably is very happy with mail-in voting. But you can't have a great democracy with mail-in voting.
At noon, a judge has ordered a new election in the Caddo Parish Sheriff's race. This morning, around 9:45, the ruling came down. Retired Louisiana Supreme Court Judge Joe Blake was brought in to hear the case last week. After hearing both sides, he said the runoff election involved a 1-vote margin, that it has been proven beyond any doubt that there was at least 11 illegal votes cast and counted. He went on to say it is legally impossible to know what the true vote should have been. Election results showed that Henry Whitehorn beat John Nicholson by 1 vote in the runoff election and the same results in the recount. Nicholson sued, citing irregularities with ballots and double votes for 2 people. Whitehorn has until Friday at 9:56 a.m. to appeal this decision. Well, we've had
state and local officials are looking into allegations of attempted voter fraud in Lawrence, and we've exclusively obtained video footage from a Lawrence man's home appearing to show a woman removing ballots from his mailbox.
ABC 10's Darren Botello spoke with Secretary of State Bill Galvin about all of this. Darren, what did he have to say?
Well, right now, there are 2 police reports alleging voter fraud in Lawrence at this time, and there could be more on the way. We are told that there is an investigation going on at both the state and local level. And one man tells us he actually caught a woman on camera going into his mailbox stealing ballots. This is the Ring camera video appearing to show a woman taking out 3 ballots from a Lawrence man's mailbox. This is the man who didn't want to be identified, but says he went to go vote in person on election day last week and was told, according to the list, he already voted. That's when he checked his camera footage and then contacted police. The Essex County District Attorney's Office and Secretary of State, William Galvin, are now looking into any allegations of potential voter fraud. Second report filed was from this Lawrence woman, who's still waiting for elections officials to decide whether her in-person vote will count or the mail-in, which she says has her signature forged.
How come it's not going to be counted if I'm voting right in front of you and I'm telling you that that vote that you have there is not mine?
State elections officials are now sorting through these allegations, and we're told the results would be delivered before the candidates begin their new terms in January.
We're on it. The minute we heard about it today, we took action. We've had a history of sending people to jail when they've committed crimes. And that's what we'll do here.
A stick of butter a day keeps the love handles away?
The reason butter is called butter is because of the butyric.
People to jail when they've committed crimes. And that's what we'll do here.
And there's also another component to these cases. If that mail was stolen out of those mailboxes, that's a federal offense, and we're told there could be a federal investigation on the way. Live in Boston tonight, Darren Patel, NBC 10 Boston. This is the Ring camera video appearing to show a woman taking out 3 ballots from a Lawrence man's mailbox.
So it's up to us to shine a light on corruption. That's why we sent Johnny to see Wanda.
How's it going? Johnny from Fox, how are you? How are you? Nice to see you. Wanda, why did you stuff the ballots? Wanda? Why did you stuff the ballots? Wanda, there's surveillance video of you stuffing the ballots. Do you have anything to say? Oh, okay. Wanda? Wanda, what do you want to say to the people of Bridgeport?
So Wanda pled the fifth, just like she did in court. We're not letting this go.
President of Patterson City Council, Michael Jackson, and Councilman-elect Alex Mendez, both charged with criminal conduct involving mail-in ballots during the city's special elections on May 12th.
I've said it, that I had a suspicion that the integrity of this election was compromised.
In addition to Mr. Jackson and Mr. Mendez, 51-year-old Shalim Khalik and 21-year-old Abu Raisin were also charged. New Jersey Attorney General Gerber Graywall said the Postal Service alerted authorities after hundreds of mail-in ballots were found in a single mailbox in Patterson. Numerous additional ballots were found in another mailbox in a nearby town.
TCF Center. Now, the local media said that November 4th, she was inside the TCF and she said, Jim, you won't believe it. I just heard that a van dropped off boxes of ballots in the middle of the night, and she was working inside the TCF that morning. So we put in a request to get this video. It took months, and we got this at Gateway Pundit. We put this up on on our site. We tweeted about it, and that's when we lost our Twitter account, by the way, by putting up this video. There's a lead car, an escort car that comes in. You can see here. Each time he hands something to the people inside, and then this van drives in, and they actually came in twice. Now, we had local media, one of the top reporters there, I'm not going to mention his name, he said that this never happened. He was there all night, there was no fraud, nothing happened. So now we have the video of that.
All right, well, I'd like to say thank you for everybody who was tuned in today. I know we got a couple people that basically left. They all got tired, but I got things I gotta do tonight too, so I can't go to bed tonight early. But you guys, I hope you guys really did enjoy everything I watched tonight. There's a lot more stuff, guys. There's a lot more. But gotta remember, everybody, we have to stay strong here. We gotta stay strong and positive. We can't give up. Gotta continue to fight for our country and gotta do it the right way. Don't do anything violent. Don't think stupid. And Trump's team was doing an awesome job. But we have to go up there and do our part too. Don't sit around your ass all day and think Trump would do everything. It's our job too. And it's time for us all to call our Congress too. Start telling them, do their damn job. Do their job. If they can't do their job, then it's time to let them go. We're gonna vote their ass out.
Hey guys, I made this quick review video for my subscribers to let you know.
Yeah, so thank you, Jericho, for staying tuned in, and I really enjoy your thing. I mean, I got so much more videos, guys, but I got things I gotta do, and it's already 11 o'clock. I don't know, it's 1 o'clock my time. It's right 12 o'clock your guys' time. I don't know, but you guys enjoy. Because I got things I gotta do. Litard will probably, they can sit all night. But I got things to do. God bless y'all.
And it's got a ton of information.
Yeah, oh yeah. If you guys want me to go to Chicago on Monday, this come Monday, we need to raise some money to go. We'll plan to go to Chicago, and it'll be there from, I'm thinking we'll go from probably I don't know, 10 o'clock and say from 10 to 7 p.m. 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. We'll do a little walk around, have a good time, and I don't know. I mean, I want to go see the Barack Obama's library. As long as we get the funds, guys, we can go. If not, then we can't go. But God bless you, and thank you guys for tuning in. Good night, Gary. Good night, Jericho. Good night, haters. Adios.